Alright, hello everyone. Welcome. We're gonna continue today with yesterday's discussion stuff. We're having a lot of discussions yesterday about the future of Guild Wars 2 and ArenaNet, and I was reading the article and stuff like that. And I'm gonna finish the article today, but I figured we'd just do some random. I really felt like So here's my theory, okay? This is crazy, and I know I'm gonna have to like tell other people like later on or whatever. So ArenaNet always nerfs all the things that I play. So I figured if I play a virtuoso, they're gonna nerf them, right? So that's my reverse psychology right now. Is that I'm gonna play the most overpowered build in the game, and then hopefully ArenaNet is gonna nerf it because I'm playing. That's my theory. Stick. What do I want? What do I want for abilities? Oh yeah, we're gonna hang out today, and we're just gonna talk about we're gonna talk a little bit more about ArenaNet, the future of Guild Wars 2, maybe Guild Wars 3, stuff like that. I always enjoy those discussions. You know, especially with next week, with the final release, you know, of the expansion coming out and stuff like that. Like, we're gonna, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we can talk about next week. Why am I not doing any damage? What the heck is going on? I'm just hitting that guy, I guess? Okay, I don't even know what's hitting me. Okay, I don't know what even hit me. Literally, I didn't even... Corrupted rain? It wasn't even raining. Corrupted rain was killing me. I was like, what the hell just even happened? Has the game not fully loaded or something? I don't know what's going on. See, that's what I'm saying, like, there's no animation to this. How am I getting damage from this? It's like I just lose health and get like conditions put on me, and I don't even know what's happening. That's crazy. Photo breaker. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. We're in so many levels. What did I just level up like 3 times? Jesus. Alright, I got a shoe. I got a shoe. Alright, nothing that I want. Positing, and we got more. They're really raining that on us. Alright, what's a good... What is this? Your wall. Nah, stealth, man. I'm not using conditions, so maybe illusions? Yeah, I'll get that. I'll leave Ether Feast still in there, and we're gonna kind of save our points. All right. I hope you guys are doing good. We're just gonna hang out. You know, this is not anything. This is not like a challenge run or anything. I'm just hanging out.
If you want to train.
Yesterday was like a crazy busy day for me.
Come on, that's way too
Yesterday
slow.
was like a long
Try
day for
attacking
me
me
too.
as I lower my guard.
Fire! Not bad at all.
So it's coming. So the boss is coming up in 5 minutes, so at like 9:45, I guess. So that's perfect. All right.
Come on. That's way too slow. Try attacking me as I lower.
Does she
my
need to
guard.
be in here with her sky scale? Super annoying.
That's how you block an attack. Again.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's keep at it. Take aim. Hold.
Oh my god, this is so slow. I'm just gonna keep doing what I usually
Come
do.
on. That's way too slow. Try attacking me as I lower my guard.
Not bad at all. Let's keep at it.
Why do we need extra weed?
I told you. My sister's family is coming down from Shanghai.
We should go there
Take
instead.
aim.
And risk getting robbed.
Because I don't know if the more often I attack her, no, I don't think so.
Hold.
Look, she just keeps blocking. I'm like, lady, come on.
Hold. Fire.
Is there a specific
Come
duration
on.
on this?
That's way too slow. Try attacking me as I
Let's keep
lower
at it.
my guard.
Dude, shield stands for 27 seconds. That's insane.
Pick up a rifle and get in formation. Never block. Remember, don't release your shot until the order is given.
Hold. Fire. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Pick up a training.
Let's keep
sword
at
if you
it.
want to train. Wouldn't want anyone getting hurt.
Okay, go.
Come
Take
on.
aim.
That's way too slow. Try attacking me as I lower my guard.
Try raising your shield just as I
Hold.
launch my attack.
Fire.
I'm not sure about this.
So bad.
That
Show these
rifle's
whelps
property
how
of the
it's
Sarah.
done.
Let's keep at it.
Can't
Pick up a
just walk
shield
off
and
with
get
it.
in there. Good.
Take aim.
That's how you block an
Pick up a
attack.
rifle and get in
Again.
formation. Remember, don't
I wish that's
release
how
your
blocking
shot
actually
until the order
worked.
is given.
Hold.
Oh, I thought you were attacking me.
Hold. Fire.
Haha. Alright.
Aim.
That's done. I'm gonna make my way to the swamp. I'm gonna make my way to the swamp. I'm gonna teleport.
Fire.
Oh, I can teleport up the stairs? That's pretty cool. I was like, I'm gonna try that, and it didn't work. Someone is surprised that they can be healed if they're not in a party with someone. Yep, that's the game.
You will be broken.
I'm just gonna go to the. Oh, I should have gotten the waypoint. I didn't even realize I was running by it. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, okay. I'm already done with my dailies. I didn't even realize. I want to work on my weeklies as well, so I'm gonna probably go somewhere where I can defeat some more Sons of Svanir. Identify some gear, brand a jumping puzzle, cross-forge sound. I mean, this is all easy. Events in Kryda. Super easy. So that'll be fine. We'll do our weeklies and we'll hang out for a little bit. I don't think I want to be streaming as late as I did yesterday. I know I started late today and yesterday, but I've just been busy. I had such a busy day yesterday. I'm like, why? Why am I so busy? Hey, you know, I've never really tried the rifle. I know it's a healing weapon and all, but like that might be a better bet for me. I don't know. Is it? I don't know if it's me. so hard to tell sometimes because once you're used to like doing the level 80 stuff, it's really hard to tell, like, am I actually contributing? You know what I mean? Like, am I actually like contributing? And like, am I doing good? Oh my god, that was a one-hit freaking KO there. Holy crap. How much damage did that do? Really? I had that low life? It only did 800. Wow. I mean, that's like half of my health, I guess. Wow. Okay.
You're kidding, right?
Help! I'm just a low-level character that's not supposed to even be here yet. I'm only level 50.
Leave me be.
Oh no! I was trying to heal. Trying to get out of this. Yeah, someone has to be on like permanent duty to help me. Cause like this is, I'm very squishy as a mesmer, especially early on because the mesmer as a profession depends a lot on their like on their trade interactions with their skills and stuff like that. You know, specifically for their mechanics. You know, where for example you have something like the elementalist, right? The elementalist, once you have access to your other elements, it's just that's all it is, right? You swap into other elements, but with the, you know, and yeah, you can enhance it, right? Like a little bit, but it's for the most part it's all there. For the mesmer, like most of that power comes from actually enhancing your shatters and stuff like that, like shattering your clones and stuff like that.
You must like pain.
Yeah, I do not want to step into that.
Leave me be.
You're kidding, right?
So I'll help with the heart too, because this heart is kind of annoying to do, to be honest. Like this is one of those hearts that I really think if they were to like look at like Corteria and like change stuff in Corteria, this would be something that I would want them to change. Like this heart is so annoying. Like they should do something else with it. They should have the portals maybe act more like rifts or something, where like when you activate it you have like enemies come out, and it doesn't have to be like 10 enemies that are all super strong, but it could be like 3 enemies that come out of it, not just like one. I don't know, like just maybe have them respawn after a while too, because it's like, I don't know, it's really strange, I feel like, the way that this heart works. It's a little annoying. There's way more annoying hearts out there for sure, you know, but this is one of those where I would be very happy with them if they were to like look at it and say, yeah, we're gonna make it a little easier to acquire, you know.
Until next time.
Oh god, I have 6 health. He does entirely too much damage. Oh god, there's a champion flesh reaver here. Lovely. Two champion flesh reavers. 3 champion flesh reavers. Oh my god. I am entirely out of my depths here. Insane. Way too many of them. Just gonna keep fighting them. I don't care about this stupid portal. Oh, they don't help with the hard progression? That's annoying.
Until next time.
Alright. Almost there.
You're
Don't
kidding,
die.
right?
Ooh, I leveled up. No. World bosses. I get a staff. I don't want a staff. I'm gonna continue with my day. My dagger. What's the duration of the boons that you get from this? It's so weird using like. So weird going with those, you know. All right, we're gonna continue that. Can I teleport up there? No battle path to target. There's a whole song on YouTube about that. I used to rock out to that song all the time. Here we can actually summon a creature. Have a boon. Have a not a boon. Whatever the name of this. Have a condition on the. Shatter. My shatters do nothing. My shaders do not. Alright, I gotta have something in my second slot. They're doing some frozen cures conditions on allies. Mantra might be good. Using a mantra. The charge a spell that will damage your target. Daze your target. Okay. Alright, cool. We're gonna use a mantra. Do I need to... What, did they change this? Yeah, I gotta charge this first. Got it. Okay. And then it gives me... Alright, let's finish this heart here while I'm here. See, that's the thing. It's like we like they have to show us these spirits and stuff. It's just kind of weird. It's a weird thing. I don't know. So it gives me that. Is this? They've changed the mantras around so much to the point where I don't really even understand how they work now. Power spike, damage your target and nearby foes. Oh, okay. Okay. So it's five people. Inflict vulnerability on foes with skills whose skills aren't active. Oh. Interesting. An account recharges what? Count recharge is 10 seconds. It's not bad. I love that it's an instant cast too. That is kind of nice. That is kind of nice. Open that
This'll lead
portal,
straight
baby.
into the underworld, if it works right.
And if it doesn't,
I suppose we'll discover that later.
indeed, we discovered what would happen.
Yes, we did. We should do it again sometime.
Oh, probably not. That never stops us, though.
When it
Never
comes to
stops us.
science, err on the side of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this art. Portrait spirit. See, and they bug out too. Like these guys have been bugged out when they look like this. I mean, I don't know. It says restful spirit, but like even some of them, if they look like that, they're bugged out. You can't talk to them. It's kind of weird. It's a weird thing for sure. Yay. Oh, we can help out. Oh, they're dead. Good job. Oh, I can't use that underwater. Great. Awesome. I guess we can learn another mantra. Just for underwater, not like I'm gonna go underwater. So, what else can I can finish this part. I do want to get these things here. I love the little wisps that are like dancing across the water. Little blue wisps you'll see once in a while. Those are really cool. They're very unique to this. Oh, okay, where did this Drake come from? What's going on here? Beat enemies, yay! Okay, this doesn't even help with the hard either. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you have these enemies in this area and they don't even do anything for the hard. Better equipment. I'm getting better. Getting some stuff at least. This staff is like way better than anything I have, but I don't want to use a staff. So, it's kind of annoying. Get out of here. Would be nice if they had another look at level up rewards as well. We leveled up. Because, like, let's be real, they're really not that exciting. These actually do spawn more enemies, I just realized. They do spawn like 3 enemies. I don't know why. I remember them not spawning 3 enemies. So I guess these are fine. Maybe have more of these. And maybe have the putrid skelks actually count towards like hard progression here. That would be kind of nice. They would be Canaan names. Those were the two. Oh, can I revive more? I think reviving always gives like a lot of progression. I think. I'd like to think. I don't know. I don't know. I love that many of these NPCs are named.
You know so little.
And you can actually like talk to them and stuff. You don't see anything important, but it's kind of cool. It's always nice to have like NPCs that you can talk to and they just give you some dialogue. That did not even give me a progression. That didn't. Apparently that didn't count. The first one did. The second one did not. I don't even know, like, for a virtual, I haven't played Virtuoso. I played Virtuoso like way early on during End of Dragons, and then I haven't since then. I don't even know what a good build is for Virtuoso. Alright, let's switch. Hi, NM, how are you? How are you? Okay. Oh. I was like, what is all this? What is all this stuff? I'm gonna wait until I can get... What would be a good one to get? Improve great sword skills, illusion, steel, increase strike damage. See, that one is such a weird one. Illusions even don't even do a lot of damage anyways. Like, illusions barely do any damage. Why is this... Is this for phantasms as well? Does that work for... I guess it must, right? Dazing or stunning implies vulnerability. Lower health percentage than you. That's kind of nice. Egotism. Fragility deals increase for each stack of vulnerability on your target. Close without boons. Disabling a foe removes boons. That's kind of nice in like leveling because many of the core Tyrian enemies don't have boons. Shatter skills deal more damage. This is double against moves that are not activating skills. Interrupts deal damage and inflict weakness. Interesting. Like if you daze and stuff. I really like the Mesmer. The one thing that I really like about the Mesmer is how intricate many of the like traits are and stuff. They have these like really weird interactions with like mechanics and stuff like that, and it's really cool because it's really a class for someone that kind of really knows the game. Like if you don't know the game, like much of it is gonna mean nothing to you, you know, and that's kind of cool. How are you, NM? Do we have stuff I can destroy or like? I remember way early on when this area was like completely taken over by Tamini. Like it's never. Whenever I come here now, it's never taken over by Tamini, but it used to be back in the day. I'm doing well, thank you. I was trying to like kind of relax today. I had like yesterday was like a crazy busy day, and then I was streaming really late. Ooh, I can use that, but I don't really like torch. But yeah, so today was kind of my relaxed day. I didn't really do anything. I wanted to do some recording, but I was just like, ugh, I wasn't feeling it. I'm kind of waiting to see what the blog posts are gonna be like, and yeah, so, but probably tonight I'm gonna work on some videos. There's definitely one video that I want to get out before Tuesday. I got that. Ooh, I got more supplies. More supplies.
Lieutenant,
Oh.
Centaur's approach. Sounds like from the east, like you said.
Stand fast. We can't lose this camp.
Plant a tent on your corpse. Tent on your corpse.
Doing a review. I mean, I'm not really like a review person. I don't know. It's one of those things that I feel like some people really ask for, but I just, my problem is I never, it's so weird because I never know how to like put things in words. I feel like I'm one
I
of those
expect
people
they'll
that like
retaliate.
talks around the point
Keep
a
an eye on
lot
the horizon.
and doesn't ever really get to the point. So I don't know, maybe, I mean, is that what people want? Like, it's, to me, reviews are kind of weird, right? Because it's like, I don't know, maybe it's who I am as a person. What do you get out of a review is my question to you. Like, I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot or anything like that. I'm trying to figure out exactly what people are looking for in reviews, right? Like,
Plant a tent on your corpse.
I mean, I could do a review of it. I don't know. I haven't even thought about, like, that's not even a thing that comes through my head. What is the sword that he's using? He's using greatsword, but it's a cool skin.
Plant a tent on your corpse. No, can't.
Because I feel like, you know, and on my, like, when I do my streams and stuff like that, I usually give, like, my impressions. So I don't know if it's, like, are people just looking for, like, a 10-15 minute video where I just kind of give my opinion on something, right? And, like, kind of maybe have it be more concise where people don't have to watch, like, hour-long streams, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. People are looking, like, my question always is, like, do people really value my opinion? Why would anyone value my opinion? Who am I that, like, my opinion matters in that sense? I mean, I can make it. If that's what people want, I don't mind. I did a joke review of the initial release of Janthia Wilds because I had actually a lot of demand for that, which was kind of weird. I was like, okay, this is kind of strange. I've already finished the heart. I don't know why I'm attacking that. So, but yeah, I mean, if the demand is there, if people, I mean, I might post it like on YouTube as a question or something. Like, if like there's enough people that want a review, I could make a review of it. I don't really know what to put in it, but I could do some. I could search my insides. Search my insides for what I feel. Personally, I love Janthia Wells because of the raid and the raid CM, but it seems that it's pretty divisive with players who either don't care about him, so it's a raid. See, and that's the thing, like, that's another issue that I kind of have with making a review, because I didn't play the raid, and I don't plan on doing the raid. And even for the video, I wouldn't do the raid because I don't have, like, a raid group, and raids just stress me out to no end. Because I feel like there's so much demand on doing a good job. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, I would have to, like, if I were to do a review, I would have to, like, preface that I didn't do the raids, you know, and that might already, like, for some people that might already be like, well, what's the point of doing a review if you didn't do all the content in a release? Like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't raid, you know, and I feel like, you know, the challenge modes and the legendary challenge mode and all of this stuff, like, all of those things are important part of the release. And I feel like, so even if I have an opinion about most of the other stuff, I feel like it wouldn't be a complete thing because I would be missing, you know, I'd be missing just important parts of it, I guess, you know. Hear why people might like or dislike it. It creates discussion. I mean, it does. You're not wrong. It definitely does create discussions. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to kind of do like the reason why I usually leave, like why you know, you'll see it on my thumbnails and stuff like that. Why I usually do the discussions on stream and stuff because first of all, you can see me go through the content at the time, right? And then I give my impression right then and there. Because my problem, like one of the problems that I personally have is that I have a terrible memory, right? And like there's parts of me now that have already forgotten like certain things about Janthia Wilds, like the initial release, which was almost a year ago now. And like I would have to go and play that content again to do the review, which is fine. I could do that, you know, it's just a lot of work. Like I would to run through it, refresh my mind. So that's why usually like I stream that stuff, and at the end of those streams I usually give my impression on it, right? At the end of that I usually am like, okay, so this is how I felt about this, you know, and like I just kind of talk about the review. I did that with Secrets of the Obscure when the last release for that came out. I kind of sat down at the end and I was like, okay, how do I feel about Secrets of the Obscure? And I kind of was like in line with what everyone else was thinking, that like the initial release of it was great and then it kind of dropped off. You know, the Nios releases I dropped off. With Janthia Wilds, I mean, as of right now, I don't know. I think the initial release was weaker than Secrets of the Obscure's initial release. Not that it was bad by any means, but I think the initial release of Secrets of the Obscure had more to offer, I think, overall, in like in the story sense, in the grandeur of things, in the like immersion side, in the I don't know about content. Again, really, I don't know. It's a train. I'm like, what is that sound? It's like a low rumbling sound. I'm like, what is that sound? I think it's a train, but I can't hear the train horn, or they haven't honked it yet. Because I feel like, you know, I'm not one of those people that like does clickbaity stuff, right? I don't like to create clickbait. It's one of the reasons why my channel has never really taken off, because I don't make the I can't believe they did that as title, you know? Like, I don't do that kind of stuff, right? Like, I think it's disingenuous for like so many different reasons, you know, because it's just like you're just trying to farm for views and stuff. So I feel like I feel like putting a review out there and then saying like, oh yeah, and the major, like one of the end game stuff, which is the raids with the challenge mode and all of that stuff, I didn't play any of it, right? Like, I feel like that would be kind of I don't know. I feel like there would be some people that would be really turned off by that. I don't know why I keep fighting these wasps. I'm like lost in thought about this. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I might post something on the community tab, and if enough people want part of it, you know, because that's not really my thing. My thing is really like, you know, theorizing and stuff like that, and talking about the story and like things that are going on. I want to go in here. I'm just gonna run through here. I don't need to kill all of you guys.
You're kidding, right?
But yeah, usually those types of, because I kind of do those types of reviews, but I do it on the last stream. of the final release, right? Like, well, I usually play through those in like one go. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I thought I could do this. You know, I forget how squishy mesmers are in the beginning. My god, his explosions are massive. My god, they like have like the longest freaking range. Holy crap. No, how are you guys even up here now? Get out of here. I just wanted your treasure. I do love the animation on that mantra though. The like red symbol that like explodes. It's really cool. What do you think of the quarterly code, specifically having an fractal at the final release? I think it's actually a good idea. I think it's a great idea. Because usually, you know, when you have fractals and stuff like that, when you have you know, they usually come with like a little bit of a longevity of a reward. So it's like, you know, it's like they kind of leave you off with something, because the problem with some of those quarterly releases is that it's like once you play through them, you're done with them, and then you like have nothing else to worry about for the next 3 months. So having something that kind of makes you, because fractals and stuff like that kind of keeps you playing, you know, and raids and stuff like that kind of keep you playing. I love the way that they're doing it. The release model itself isn't necessarily bad. Like I'm not okay with some of the content, like Mistburnt Barons, like Repentance was a little like I was a, you know, both Godspawn and Repentance didn't really impress me that much. Specifically Godspawn was, in my opinion, a pretty terrible release because it was really short. 3 chapters. One of the chapters was one single instance. That's all it was, and it was very disappointing in that sense. Where I'm like, it was one instance, and that's all that whole chapter was. And it was like, it took me like 5 minutes, and I was through it. I'm like, that was one chapter? Like, what the hell? Like, that's kind of weird, you know? So, but I love the idea that we get the raid with the initial release, the fractal with the final release. Like, I love that system. And I love that, like, the legendary mode and the challenge modes and stuff all kind of get released as time goes on, as we keep going through that expansion. Because it's one of those things to kind of keep people interested, right? And there's a way to keep the hardcore, the veterans, like, interested through that whole year. It's not just, you know, with the Nios releases, it was like, okay, we have, like, I don't know, we have like these mediocre things coming out, and I feel like people didn't really care to stick around, but now people kind of stick around, right? Like when the raid released, people want like I feel, and I again, I didn't raid, but I feel like raiders were like trying to get good at the raid because they knew that there was like challenge modes coming and like harder bosses and blah 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 coming, right? So they were just like, okay, we got to get good at this, right? And it keeps the longevity going. And then when you have a fractal at the very end, with a challenge mode, that kind of is a good bridge into the next expansion, because that is not super difficult content, but it's still something where it's just like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I played through the release, but now I can kind of do the fractal, which is, you know, this like 5-man content is a little bit more relaxed, but there's other rewards that I can work towards, right? It kind of leaves you with like a little pocket of something where, you have like other, because usually when you have those fractals and stuff, there's like stuff that you have to like work towards with like challenge modes. You have to like play through the challenge mode, and then you have to like you know, acquire like, there's like all kinds of like skins and infusions and stuff that you can acquire from those, you know. And I think it kind of is, it's a good way like to, you know, the raid is a good way to keep people interested throughout the whole expansion, and then the fractal is kind of a good way to keep people a little bit interested until the next expansion comes out. The problem with that is that we now have a 5-month break, and the fractal isn't going to be enough to keep people interested for that long. Like it's not like five months is a content drought, and it's really upsetting in a lot of ways. I think maybe having the fractal in the second or third release might be better, and that might be too. That might be good too. The thing is, like I said, I like that there's something where there's something that. How are you, Emily? By the way, hello. I don't know if I said hello. I feel like I put that in there, but hello. How are you? I didn't want to just dismiss that. I don't know why, but why I did that. So the thing is that, like I said, I like the idea of the fractal at the very end of the release because it keeps people playing the game still, and it keeps people interested for a little bit longer than just one day. Like, let's be real, the story content and stuff like that, if we didn't, the thing is, the scenario is like, let's look at the scenario if we didn't get a fractal at the end of it, right? People would play through the story content, they would have already played the raid multiple times, they would have already done like the challenge modes and stuff like that, and they would be kind of done with it, right? They would be like, okay, this is the content, and then now we are having like a couple of festivals and a couple of like bonus events, and we're going into the next expansion after that. That's it, right? Like, so I feel like having the fractal and then a challenge mode a little bit later at the very end of the expansion kind of gives that a little bit of like, okay, people are still playing, you know what I mean? It keeps them going a little bit. I'm doing well. I'm good. I relaxed today. I had a relaxed day. Monday I was very busy, and then yesterday was like crazy busy. I did like so much yesterday. Yeah, so today was just like kind of like hanging out. I was just like hanging out, watching TV, and like did nothing. And then I went shopping earlier, and but yeah, it was a good day. How are you? You already said you're good. Apparently my brain isn't working. Speaking of the fractal, when do you think the new fractal takes place? It is the most recent dramatic rise, or could it be the previous cycle? Well, they're calling it kinfall, and it's taking place in a frozen area. So it sounds to me like it'll be when they left. It'll be when the lowland Coden left to go to the lowland shore. Like when they split off from the other people, like when the was Waiting Sorrow, what was the lore there? The Waiting Sorrow was the voice that was like going crazy or whatever, and she left them, and so like they like had to run away or something like that. Was that what the lore was? Was she the one that was guiding them, and then she disappeared or something like that? So I think it's gonna be that. Like I think we're gonna see the moment where like Waiting Sorrow is like splits off from the Coden, and I think that's gonna be what we're gonna be seeing in the fractal. I think it's gonna be, because they call it kinfall. And I don't think it's from the last rise of the Elder Dragons. I think they're not showing us anything ever from the last rise of the Elder Dragons. I think that is part of the history that ArenaNet is keeping vague. Maybe on purpose, maybe not. I don't know, but I don't think we're getting anything from the last rise. So it's definitely going to be from this rise. Or not from, is that from this rise, or is that from last rise? Wait, now I'm confused. When did they leave? Now I'm getting my timelines mixed up. Maybe we are getting it from the last rise. When did they leave? They left last rise. Is that right? So we are maybe getting something from the last rise of the Elder Dragons, which would be like, that would make it like the oldest fractal in existence. No, not, that's not true. We actually have the one with the giant, that's the oldest one. I would have to like look at that. My god. I'm getting my timelines all mixed up right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. So it's probably the most recent. Yeah, I think it's the most recent. Hold on, let me look at this real quick. Yeah. No, you're like I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong, as always. Subrays of the Cordon originated when a group of their kind migrated south from the previous dragon rise of the Elder Dragon a millennia ago. Dormac's influence expanded across the Shiver Peaks, forcing various races, including Cordon, to confront the dragon's power. The southward claw, the claw of his tribe, and his mate, the Voice, fled southward. Along the way, the Voice, affected by the rage of Coda, eventually left them. At the end, the group had ended up settled in the warmer, fertile regions of the lowland shore, becoming the ancestors of the lowland Codan, who would move from place to place around the Janthe region, where they built peaceful communities centered around natural hot springs and forests. Over time, they developed a distinct. Yeah, so yeah, it's in 1165 AE, Jormag rose once again somewhere beyond the far Shiver Peaks in the latest Dragon Rise, creating a years-long dragon storm as they began creating ice brood and pushing south. Waiting Sorrow returned to the lowland Codan, plagued by fragmented visions of her past life and guilt for abandoning her, adopting the identity of a healer named Fading Aurora. She has settled among the lowland Codan of Harvest Den and has earned a place in their council. She later became the mentor of Poised Arrow and son of Stoic Alder, the current Claw. Yeah, no, it's definitely the last rise. So it's the presence of the Icebrood Norn and the Fractals suggest. I think the previous rise is when they left, and that was when Waiting Sorrow left and the split of Lowland Codan happened. But there's also lore that's just that when the Codan split, some may have evolved into the Norn, but that may just be Codan. Yeah, no, I think they hinted at that a lot. I think it's gonna be the last rise. I really like to think it's the last rise of the Elder Dragons, because I really think that, because they call it Kinfall, and as far as we know, because in the trailer we see Lowland Codan in a like mountainous area, and like they left the mountains at the last rise, not the most recent one, but the one before that. They left the mountains behind. So while there might be a Icebrood Norn, and we don't know if it's an Icebrood Norn, it could be like, maybe like, I mean, maybe it's like just an Icebrood something else, maybe? I don't know. I don't know, it's, but because I don't think they ventured back in there and fought it. Like with the most recent, with the most recent rise of Jormag, of the Elder Dragons, we didn't see any of the Lowland Codan go fight in the frozen. Like, I feel like we would have encountered them. You know what I'm saying? Like if they had been out in the mountains, like I feel like someone would have encountered them. Someone would have known about them. Right? Like Bram and stuff like that, because Bram went out into the mountains and wanted to fight Jormag and stuff like that. I feel like someone would have encountered them. But they were like such a mystery because they were keeping to themselves. So I feel like because we see the Lowland Codan, I think it's going to be taking place when they're probably, it's probably, the Fractal is going to be them fleeing the mountains. That's going to be the you know, and we have to fight our way through or something. And the final boss might be Waiting Sorrow, who was corrupted by the rage of Coda or something, which is actually an interesting thing. Like, if we get something from that long ago, we might actually get some really interesting lore, because we still don't really understand what Coda is. Like, Coda is one of those, like, god beings, one of those, like, you know, creatures that acts as a like one of those deities, right? In the plethora of weird deities and spirits and whatever guiding beings, entities or whatever, right? But we don't know anything about Coda, right? We don't understand like what Coda is really, or like, you know, why just the Codan follow the Coda, like, or is it like, is it the spirit of Bear that they see as Coda or something like that? You know, like, there's always these weird like connections, because like you said, the Norn in lore, there's hints that they were derived from, like, they like devolved, I guess, from like being like full-fledged bears to just being able to transform into bears. Like, their bear form was like, you know, became like, I don't know, they were like, well, how was it worded? Like, Coda like rejected them or something like that, you know? So I feel like it's gonna be not this recent one, but it's gonna be the one from before that. So it's gonna be one of the most, like, one of the oldest fractals that we've ever seen. We're gonna see, you know, it's gonna be a pocket in time very long ago, is what I like to think. I need to get better weapons. Do you have something for me? I guess I'm gonna take some precision. Precision is good. That's my opinion. I think that makes the most sense. Why do we see so then okay, so then let me defend that statement, because why do we see a Ice-Brewed Norn? So we don't know if around that same, so when did the Norn... Okay, let me read about the Dragon Storm real quick. The Dragon Storm, also called the Great Storm, was a powerful blizzard that occurred during the previous awakening of Dromak, the Elder Dragon of Ice and Persuasion. Though its exact length is unknown, the storm is said to have lasted multiple Codan lifetimes. Guided by their leaders, the voices of Coda told the Codan that it was time to wait, watch, and learn, but not act. While the Codan were forced to wait out the blizzard in their halls along the northern seas, they began to starve, and discontent spread among them. Eventually, One Claw, who had lost his voice, refused to remain hidden safely, proclaimed fur or no fur, storm or no storm, a hunter hunts. This Claw took several others with him and went out into the storm to seek hunting grounds in the dry southern lands, to be never seen again. Never to be seen again. Who keeps writing these articles? Some Codan believe that these hunters, nothing against the wiki team, they do a fantastic job, but sometimes some of the writing is like kind of weird. Some Codan believe that these hunters later became the Norn, having devolved into a lesser state further away from Coda, and claim that this is why the Norn and Codan hold similar beliefs in spirits of the world. When the blizzard finally passed, the Codan found what they viewed to be a gift from Coda. Great sections of the northern sea had frozen, creating giant icebergs. The Codan climbed onto these and found a way to live on the sea, watching, learning, and hunting in their new sanctuaries. Okay, so the Dragon Storm there. The Codan who... But what about the southward Codan? During the Dragon Storm, his people settled into Janthia and became known as Lowland Shodan. Shodan? I don't know. It's gonna be, if it's the previous Rise, it would be cool to suggest that they were speaking in a different language, since New Kryden became the common language quite recently, if I'm not mistaken. That's true. Yeah, I mean, they're still gonna be speaking, obviously, like, English and stuff like that, but it would be cool to see some writing, maybe, somewhere, as part of the, like, lore. Oops, I did not. That was the wrong button. I, like, just teleported for no reason. Yeah, that would be kind of cool to see some writing. I mean, I always love translating all the writing and stuff like that. But yeah, so I don't know why there would be a Icebrood Norn. Maybe it's a different creature. Maybe it's a different being from 10,000 years ago. Because remember, like 10,000 years ago, you know, it was like, you know, Jotun existed, right? They were like at the peak of their like powers back then during the you know, rise back then, right? Like they were very powerful beings too. Like maybe it's an Icebrood Jotun, you know, or something like that. I don't know, you know. It could be because their society was like, you know, their society, because of infighting and stuff like that, they devolved as well into the like, you know, these troll-like beings that they are now. But when we look at someone like Dagda, she represents a little bit more, like, she looks a little bit more Nornish, right, than the Jotun. Well, obviously, she has blue skin and, like, weird tattoos and stuff like that. But, yeah, but I think maybe it's a different Icebrood creature. You know, who knows? But I'm very excited to kind of see it. I love that, you know, it was really funny because, like I literally was hoping, you know, it's in the video yesterday when I was making the video, like I was saying like, man, I really want an old school fractal, right? And then they're like, oh, we're doing an old school fractal, and I'm like, oh my god. It was like they heard me and then they like rewrote their post real quick or something.
Step right up, carnival goers.
Follow.
Test your strength against mine
Never
and
mind.
win a prize.
Oh, I gotta defeat that guy.
You think I'm too old to kick your tail?
The whole Norn evolving form code is just a myth and it's like that. Oh, that would be interesting too. I mean, there is like this interesting part, like, so one of the reasons why that never made sense to me is because the Norn transform into brown bears, not into polar bears, right? Like, so that was one of the things where I always thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, they're polar bears, and the Norn transform into brown bears. But now that we have the lowland Coden, who are brown bears, I guess it kind of makes sense. So I could still see it, you know. But it'd still be interesting. I mean, I'm looking for. Wow, I cannot believe that this merchant has better weapons than the garbage that I've been getting. Like, it's very sad. Very sad. I have not been getting better stuff from all the enemies that I've been fighting. It would be weird though if it's indeed the previous Rise and the Coden don't make a comment about seeing an Icebrood Norn for the first time. I mean, they might, right? And like I said, it might not be an Icebrood Norn, it might be an Icebrood Jotun, right? Like, maybe, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really look at the trailer. Hold on, let me see. They never post anything. One of the things that I really hate about ArenaNet is they don't, half of the, like, their news page only has about 50% of the news that they put out. It makes no sense. I'm like, why don't you, why don't you post videos on there and stuff? Like, all the videos that they post and all the trailers and stuff like that, they don't post those on the news page. Post it on the news page. The news page is one of the most useless pages that they have. Right there. There we go. Nope, that's not it. See, I can't even find it if I'm looking for it. Like, I'm looking for it and I can't even find it. It's one of those things that drives me absolutely bonkers. It's like, put it on your news page. You have literally a dedicated news page on your website. Put that stuff on there.
If centaurs ever come here, they'll be paralyzed by my beauty.
I'll kill them before they get the chance.
Hold on. Let me look on their actual YouTube page. It's probably on there.
What else do I need to order? More food.
Wow, you type in Guild Wars. It's so weird. You type in Guild Wars 2 and I'm like number 3 on there with my live stream right now. That's weird. That feels weird.
I can't help being so pretty. It comes naturally.
Is that so?
Did they not post the my god. They didn't post it on their YouTube.
I should speak to the minister.
My god,
I'm
I
sure
don't
he'll
want to
listen
go
me.
on X. I hate
That's
going on
true.
X.
I
Why
doubt
do they
there's
only
anything
post it
anyone
on
can
X? Why do
There's
they not
nothing
post
the
it on their
minister
YouTube
can't
channel?
do if he puts his
I
mind
like
to
I
it.
don't get it. You know, I really don't. And now I gotta sign in. I don't use it enough, so I don't even know. Oh my god.
Oh, Minister
Couldn't
Codicus
find
and his
account.
gorgeous eyes. Those eyes, they...
I don't use X ever, you guys.
Just imagine if we could capture that feeling in a bottle.
Oh, that worked. Oh my god.
We should
All
follow
right.
him around and see if
Let's
he
look.
pointed to it.
What's
With
happening?
magic,
Nothing is happening.
anything
I'm
is
searching for
possible.
Guild Wars 2. I hate using X. So bad. It's awful. So awful. Where is it? Oh my god. I don't see a video of it. I see the official cookbook thing. Oh, there, no, is this it? Yeah, there it is. It's 720. It's 720p. That's a great video. Love it. Love it. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Super high quality, just for you guys. Just for you guys, for the people that use X. Look at this quality. Why are you posting this shit on X? Post it on your fucking YouTube. They let you do, like... Okay, so those are... So we see Ice Brewed Norn, Ice Brewed Coden. Those look like Dwarven ruins. That's it. That's all we get to see. It's not a lot, right? But please stop it. No. Yeah. So I don't know. We don't get to see a lot. I don't know why there would be Norn, right? It's like obviously it's not Coden because you can see the Ice Brewed Coden next to it. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, like another possibility could be that we are looking at like a, it's like this rise, this latest rise of Jormag. One reason, okay, here's one reason why I think that, because there is actually a Coden holding a gun, but obviously we play as Coden in that, so that's like the player character, you know? So it's the player character holding a gun, so I don't know if that's really indicative of like the time that we're in, because guns didn't exist back then, right? Like, guns are like a recent addition to Tyria as a whole. So I don't know. It's you know, if it's this rise, it would mean that they had like a group of them go into the mountains and do something. And what does that mean with Kinfall, right? Because like the reason why I think they call it Kinfall is because it's supposed to represent like them falling from like Koda's grace because their voice left them, right? And they're like, and they don't really follow, you know, they don't follow Koda anymore. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of go out and they're not spiritual anymore, the lowland Coden, right? And that's where the Kinfall comes from, right? It's like it's almost like an angel falling from grace or whatever, right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, you know, and you're now a fallen angel and you're not part of the holy whatever, you know. Like that's what I feel like is what's going on there. That would be my opinion. I'm not sure though. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm definitely gonna play it. I'm probably not gonna be good at it, but I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna do, as always, I'm gonna do tier 1 of it, just because I just want to experience it. So if you guys want to hang out with me on that, you can. You know, because I'm gonna need a group. Otherwise, I'll just pug it. That's fine as well. Oh god, let me out.
The minister won't let me.
So I don't know. To me, it just kind of it indicates their journey out of the mountains is what that fractal is like. Like they're trying to escape the mountains, but why there is I don't know why there. Maybe it's an oversight. Imagine there was such a big oversight that ArenaNet is putting Ice Brood Norn in there, and Norn didn't even exist at that time.
Good to meet you.
I mean, we don't really know when Norn came into existence, right? Because whoa, what is going on right now? I'm lagging so hard right now. What is going on?
I will live on.
Whoa, I don't know what just happened.
I will live on.
That was really weird. Hold on, let me look at something. Wait, what's going on? Hello? Why did my screen just turn off? What the heck is going on?
Good to meet you.
I'm still live, but something happened with my screen, and I don't know. What the heck is... Hold on. Hold on, you guys. Oops. Oh, swapping weapons got me. I don't know what's happening right now. My second screen just turned off. Am I still alive or no? What happened? I know I'm dying. That's okay though. What the heck is going on? Okay, hold on. Okay. I don't know what's happening with my second screen. This is not good. So I can now see my stream again, which is good. I can see my I got a mail. Why did I get mail? I heard the mail sound. Why is my second screen not working? What's happening? It's completely black. Can I even, like, okay, let me see if I can move like a window. I can, but it's not. What the hell is going on? I probably have to restart my computer. This is not good. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. It could be an oversight. Again, a small detail, but Guild Wars 2 has been pretty good with not having such a... Yeah, they're usually pretty good knowing that stuff, so I don't know. Would be interesting. The thing is that we know that the Dragonstorm lasted. I mean, I just read that it lasted for multiple Coden lifetimes, and we know they live for quite a long time. So maybe the Norn. Here's my thought process. Maybe that the Norn, way in the beginning of the Dragonstorm, that went out and became, or the Coden that became the Norn. Maybe they ventured out in the beginning of this Dragonstorm and then ended up already becoming like Norn. Like maybe they were already like on their journey down. Like we don't know. Was it like a sudden moment in time where they became like Norn? Or was it like over a period of time where they became Norn, right? Where they devolved into Norn. So maybe there was like a sudden moment where they like, as they ventured through, and they were like influenced by, you know, Jormag or something, which caused them to disconnect from Coda or something, and then that's what transformed them into the Norn, and that was at the beginning of the Dragonstorm, and then they already became, some of them already became corrupted, while others, you know, were able to escape and go south and become the Norn that we know now, and then this fractal takes place at the end of this Dragonstorm, right? Which is like, that's a few hundred years between those times, right? And like, Norn already exists at that point in time. You know what I mean? Because we don't know exactly when the Norn came into existence. We know that that both of these events happened during the Dragonstorm, but the Dragonstorm as an event took place like hundreds of years. Like it was hundreds of years that this Dragonstorm was happening. So, you know, it could be like that they're at, you know, at either end of the beginning, or, you know, whatever. Okay, I need to figure out what's going on. There's something going on with my display settings, I think. I don't know though. Hold on, what if I... Okay, now it's flashing. I got it to flash, you guys. Still flashing. It's flashing. I got it to flash. There you go. What? Why? Why is it doing this to me? Why is life like this today? I always have difficulty. I always have technical difficulties all the time. Hold on. What just happened? It's messing with everything. Stop it. Stop doing the thing. Stop flashing. I don't know if you guys can see the flash, like, on my face. Like, does it show up on stream? Yeah. You guys can see the flashing. Like, you can see it in the TV back there. You can see when it flashes. What the hell is happening? Hold on. I need to look up. Hold on. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm gonna try to see if maybe the cables came loose. Because I actually, you know what? I did move that earlier today. Maybe one of the cables came loose. Hold on, give me 1 second. Best. Okay. I think I figured it out. Oh my god. I don't know what it was, but like... Hold on, let me double check. Okay. It doesn't look right though. Why does it look like that? So the screen is working, but it looks really blurry now. Why does it look like that? The fuck? It's the right resolution. Maybe put... No, that's too high of a resolution. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what that was. Yeah, it all looks so janky now. Why does it look like that? I got mail. Didn't someone send me mail? I thought someone sent me mail. I don't know what's going on with my computer. Or my... It's not my computer. It's just my second display that's doing weird stuff. Like, I can't even read anything on the... It's so blurry now. What the hell? Why is it like that? I don't understand. Like, in a higher resolution doesn't fix that. It just makes everything smaller. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see later. At least I can at least read what people are writing, but it's everything is like super blurry. Anywho, let's get back to that. Get back to regular stuff. Jesus, that was so weird. I was like really freaked out for a second. Anyways, we're back. So just for people that just to give you guys like a little background, so this it's a TV that I'm using for my second monitor, and that TV is so old. Like, knock on wood, I cannot believe that thing is still working. That is the very first flat screen TV that my mom and I ever bought. Okay, like, we were very poor. We didn't have any money, and I remember, was that the one where we threw the money together, or was it where she just bought it? There was one TV where we like threw money together and we bought it together. I don't know if that was the one, but yeah, that was our first flat screen TV. It's just 32 inches. It was all we could afford at the time. But yeah, I mean, it was that was a long time ago. A long, like, this thing is so old. It's like 15 years old or something. It's something crazy, like at least 15 years old. So I'm just like, is it time for it to finally let go? But I don't think so. I think it's still there. It's just everything is blurry now. It's just everything is blurry now. I don't know why, but everything is blurry as hell. I'm gonna have to look at it in a second. So, all right. I kind of wanna go through and I want to read the rest of the article with you guys. I still have it like pulled up, so I wanna do the rest of the article with you guys. Let me see if I can get this up. Because there was still quite a bit to read, and I wanted to kind of finish where I left off yesterday. I was so tired, and I was like, oh my god. But I did want to finish it, so let me pull it up here. I don't want any of those. What's going on? Hold on. There we go. Okay. So, I think we had finished like reading this because this was like the marketing thing. We were kind of talking about product strategy. The last thing we kind of talked about was, you know, where he's, I think for us right now, explaining Guild Wars 2 to people is actually super hard. And they were trying to like get growth, and they were trying to do that with platform expansion, right? And we are kind of talking about that, and I literally, my argument for that was like, well, you know, you'll see more growth if your core game, if your free experience is better, you know? Hi, Riz. I think it's Riz. Riz would be 2 Z's. But hi, how are you? We're just getting into finishing. Yesterday I was reading the whole article, the whole long article. I read all of this yesterday, and I got really tired by like, it was like 1 a.m. or something, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm gonna finish the rest of this now. I want to read through it, and just kind of talk about it. But yeah, so it was interesting to kind of see how ArenaNet is looking to grow the game, and they're trying to do it through platform expansion. Now, the thing is how far, like, my other question was, and I touched on that yesterday, was how far are they willing to go with that, right? Like, how far are they willing to say, like, so ArenaNet has learned that they have more than enough systems in the game now. They don't necessarily want to add new systems. They did talk about that in the article, which I think is a fantastic idea. I think we have more than enough things in the game. Just strengthen the things that we have in game, right? And make the things that we have in game better, right? Like, I think that's a great idea. I think just trying out new things all the time now is probably going to lead to more failures than it's going to lead to successes, especially on an engine that is now 20 years old, right? Like, I think you're not going to be able to really do these amazing things that maybe you could be doing on a brand new engine or something. But there is so many amazing things already in the game, and strengthening them is a good idea. But so here's my question. You know, because a few years ago, ArenaNet, many years ago, ArenaNet did a, they added in the action camera, right? Like, that was not there during release. And then there was a mod that was made by, I think there was 2 mods made. I think there was 1 mod made, and then there was another one that was based off of the first mod that was made more accessible to people or easier to install or something. I feel like I remember there being, and then ArenaNet, and so people were playing it like that, and then ArenaNet were like, all right, let's add that in, right? Here's my thing. If we're looking at platform expansion, are they looking at just PC platforms? Because they already have Epic Games now, and they already have Steam, right? Like, they already have those, okay? Obviously there's other places they could go on PC, but it's like now you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel as you go on, right? You're getting the smaller audiences, or you might even get repeat audiences, right? Like, many people that have Steam already have Epic Games, or many people that already have Epic Games have all these other things, right? So is there something like, are they looking at something, you know, is this hinting at they're maybe looking at adding controller support to the game and then releasing it on actual consoles, like having it come to the PlayStation Store, to the Game Pass for Xbox or whatever it's called, right? like having it go on Nintendo Switch, right? Like, because all of those platforms could easily run Guild Wars. Like, I don't think that would be an issue. All they would have to figure out is how to get a proper way to set up a controller support, right? That's including all the key, because literally, I tell you what, there's barely any keys that I don't have on this keyboard that are not doing something for me in game. It's absolutely insane. Between the mounts, all the different mounts, right? They all have their own button. All the different weapons and all the things that you can do, and dodging and special action key and F buttons and like, you know, all these things, right, that are in there. So, you know, are we gonna get like a mount wheel, for example? Are we gonna get an official mount wheel that, you know, you can press down, like, you know, you're moving around in the game world? Hello, naked man. What do you mean naked? I'm not naked. Not yet. Like, wait a couple hours. I'm just kidding. God. What is that? Something on there. But anyways, like, pressing like this button down, for example, and like having a radial menu come up with like a mount with mounts to select or something, like, is that something we're gonna see? And then are they gonna add like controller support, and then they're gonna put it on, like, do you guys think that it would be successful on something like PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo Switch? I think there would be an audience for that. I think there would be an audience for that, especially like having the core game free to play. I think would attract a lot of people, and I think I think people would be surprised with how well the game would be selling on consoles, in my opinion. In my opinion, it would be a really good move for ArenaNet to right, like, to, I don't know, to have it be available on home consoles. I don't think we'll ever see like something like a mobile release for it. There's way too many buttons, way too many skills, way too many things going on. I don't think we'll ever see that, you know. But if like, in my opinion, if a game like Final Fantasy 14 or something like that can do a controller support and have it be on console, I think Guild Wars 2 has a chance for that as well. And I think if they're trying to go for longevity of the game, if they're really saying like, you know, Guild Wars 3 is still years away, and we want to kind of find a way to like bring Guild Wars 2 to more people and get more people involved in the game, I think console would be a good idea. But, you know, that's kind of a pipe dream. I don't know if that's really, yeah, I don't know if that's really feasible for them, right? Like, I don't know if that's something that they're looking to do or whatever. It really depends on how much manpower is going into expansion. Wants to play on console. I think it would be really cool to have it on console. Like I said, I think there's so many people that, like, while I think PC gaming has really taken over for, like, you know, for the most part, because many people stream now, and yes, you can stream on your, like, you know, PlayStation and stuff like that, but it's easier to do on PC, right? And PC has like the accessibility of, like, you know, you can download emulators for all these old games and you can play everything, right? Like all the stuff and whatever. You know, something like Nintendo, for example, the only reason why I feel like Nintendo Switch 2 is even gonna sell is because the exclusives that it has, right? But I think there is an audience, like, the thing that Guild Wars 2 has is that it's such a casual game, specifically like when they're talking about like just a core game, just a base game, like not even end game or fractals or strike missions or anything like that. Like, if you're just talking about like open world, you know, core game, like that type of stuff, like, it's a very casual game, right? Like, power creep has really taken over and stuff like that. So I think there really is, I think it would do really well on console. The thought of sitting back on a sofa with a controller in hand really fits. Yeah, I think so too. I think Guild Wars 2 really has a potential to be like a Guild Wars, like a casual home console game, and I think it would really find a big audience with that, I think. So, but anyways, let's continue reading. I think a lot of folks that are aware of Guild Wars 2 already have, so we kind of read this, right? He talks about how many people that are aware of the game have kind of either written it off or they're already playing it, and then other people, and then the other group of people is people that have never even heard of it, right? And that's because we're competing with things like Call of Duties and Fortnites and stuff like that. I guess it's their job to kind of bring awareness to the game. So I get that, right? On the Extra Life event, the devs made a comment that Guild Wars 2 plays surprisingly well on Steam Deck. So to me, that indicates that they're actively looking into ways of porting. I think, and you know what? And I didn't know that, but that is really cool. And I think that's something that I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit about people playing Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, both Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 on Steam Deck, right? I think a lot of people have been playing that on those consoles, on the Steam Deck, right? And I think that might have been, that might be, because if they are looking at platform expansion and if they're looking to increase the awareness of the game, that is definitely something that is on their radar, right? And I think, I've seen a lot of posts about people looking to play with controller and a lot of people that have made it work on Steam Deck. So I think I would love that. I think if someone had told me that 10 years ago that ArenaNet is looking to get into putting Guild Wars 2 on a console, I'd be like, you're out of your freaking mind. It's never gonna happen. But I think it would be a good idea. I think it would be a really good idea. I think they would really be tapping into an unaware audience because if you, I have friends in real life that are quote unquote gamers, right? What does it mean to be a gamer nowadays, right? I call them gamers. They're people that sit at home on their Xbox and they play the game, right? But I tell any of them about Guild Wars 2, none of them even know, right? They World of Warcraft, obviously people have heard of, right? But beyond that, if you mention any other MMO, they don't know what the hell you're talking about, right? So, Final Fantasy 14, they might know because, that is available on consoles and stuff like that. But, people, there is a huge chunk of gamers that is not even aware that Guild Wars 2 even exists. And I think so many of them would love Guild Wars 2. So there's 100% opportunity for Guild Wars there and for ArenaNet there, right? As a company, to get a lot of growth and get a lot of what it comes down to is making money, right? They would be making a shit ton of money. Let's be real. If they were releasing on console, if they were releasing on all the major consoles like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, they'd be making so much money. So much money. Because people, they would be playing the free-to-play, and then they'd be like, I love this game. I want to get... and ArenaNet is one of those companies that, they do the innovation thing, and when they innovate, sometimes they do it really well. And I think if they're going to do controller support, they're going to make sure that it really is fantastic, and that it feels really good, and that it feels very natural to play the game on controller. So... while they might not be talking about it, but maybe they're working on that in the background. They haven't mentioned it, but it would be really cool. I would love that a lot, for sure. To follow on from that, Josh, and this is not unique to Guild Wars 2, but the older that the game gets and the bigger it becomes, the more difficult it is for new players. I think I already read this, right? For new players to know where to start. Were I to start with World of Warcraft today, I wouldn't have a clue. It'd be an assault of quests, expansions, and a storyline I'd have to piece together myself. How do you bridge that gap and give people the confidence? And I kind of disagreed with him. I remember, I read this whole thing, right, where he said, oh, just go in and play the game, and if you want to play Path of Fire, he says that right here, yeah, you can jump right in and you can do all that, right? Play Secrets of the Obscure and just get your sky scale. And I think that's that's horrible advice. I think that's absolutely horrible advice. It's not something that I would ever tell new people to do. Absolutely ever, ever, ever. Okay? I would never tell a new person, oh, you want to play Guild Wars 2? Just jump in and do whatever. If you want to play Path of Fire, play Path of Fire. It's fine. No, don't do that. because you're gonna be not only confused, but you're also gonna suck at it. You're gonna be really, really bad. Because one thing about Guild Wars 2 is that it plays so differently to other MMOs that you really have to learn your class before you jump into expansion content. Like, you have to know your class, right? Like, there is a reason why we don't immediately get dropped into expansion content. Like, you know how many expansions, like, they do, like, or MMOs where they like have you jump into, like, they make like a new tutorial section and they jump you into like the new area of the expansion because they want you to play that expansion right away, where like they will even, like, if you buy the expansion, like they give you, you know, a full like a level character and like with gear and stuff like that. I mean, Guild Wars 2 does that as well, but it's a little bit different because they're not putting you in expansion maps. They're still putting you in core maps. Right, they're still dropping you off in the sand place. What is it called? The I can't even think of it. By Dry Top, the one place over there. So I think it's a horrible advice. I think it's a terrible advice to tell people to go. The game is big and flexible enough that it shouldn't be intimidating for people. I think that it's the last thing that we want to do. I would just say, if you're interested, download the free client, check it out, and then go from there. I will say this to shout out to the community. Anytime I've ever seen a new player post on a forum, immediately all of a sudden all these Guild Wars fans come out of the woodwork and say, how can I help you? And they'll send them their golden items. And at the end of the day, the world itself should be a thing. And that's cool. You know, that is something that I think the Guild Wars community has, like, really, like, shown other communities that we as a community are like a cut above the rest when it comes to that. Like, where, you know, if anyone has any questions or needs help or whatever, like, even you guys, like, I'm a veteran, and the other day someone, who was it, one of you guys sent me like 100 gold after I was making my legendary, and I was like, you guys are crazy. And like, that person was like, oh, I have like 35,000 gold, I don't know what to do with. I'm like, I'm not accepting this. I really appreciate it, but I'm not accepting that. Like, you're gonna have to, like, but that's the type of community, right? Like, that's the type of community that Guild Wars 2 does have, right? Obviously, there is, like, toxicity in certain areas, and I think there's a little bit of, like, I don't know, there's a little bit, like, you know, where people are, like, there's a lot of opinions, and a lot of people want, like, to rush you through the core game and have you go into the expansion maps right away to get your mounts and, you know, be able to play with them and stuff like that, which, like I said, I highly disagree with and stuff. But for the most part, I think the Guild Wars community is still pretty, like, it's a cut above the rest of when it comes to gaming communities, you know. The only complication of porting Guild Wars 2 into consoles would be PvP. They'd have to segregate it somehow because PC would have an unfair advantage. That's an interesting question. That's an interesting point. Would it be running on the same servers, or would they have console-specific servers? Because it really depends on how the controller support would be integrated, I think. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, would we be running on the same servers? Would we have console players on servers? And would they have, you know, there's like games that I play, like if you do like Warzone or whatever, right? And if you're using like a controller, you actually get like aim assist, right? Would there be something like that? I mean, like action camera mode still has like a few really cool options that kind of help you with like targeting and stuff like that, specifically ground targeting and stuff like that, that makes it kind of user friendly, and you can kind of change it however you want it to be. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. They would definitely have to like do a lot of play testing, and do you know, and we would have to know, like, are we gonna be doing on the same servers, or is it gonna be separate servers and stuff like that? Because I think they would have to add new servers, right? Like, I don't know how full most of the servers are, but I think the servers are, for the most part, like, still pretty full. And I think they would have to, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, that might be a complication. You're right. Have you all found then, and not just from the community perspective, but an internal development one, that your seasonal cadence increases accessibility without feeling daunting? Have you found that it is working, that it is valuable, that reception is good, that people prefer it without this pressure and expectation to play constantly, and instead approaching it as, here's some content, go have some fun, and a few weeks. Go have some fun and a few weeks. I hate to like bash on people that write for a living, but this just cracks me. Go have some fun in a few weeks. Put that on a bumper sticker. Here's some content. Go have some fun in a few weeks. I think on the whole, we're pretty happy with the model. And I think that, at least from my perspective, I think we wish we would have landed on it sooner. I think this is the most sustainable version of development for Guild Wars 2 that we've had in the entirety of its life cycle. Wow. Wow. That is very interesting. So the way that they're doing this development is the most sustainable, meaning that there's not any crunch or burnout from the development team, that there isn't any like corner cutting. They're doing, I mean, there might be some corner cutting, but it just is, there's enough money coming in without having to hurry the developers along to make it. But the problem, the issue with it, we're only 2 years into it. And I for one, and here's my opinion, here's my observation. Here's not, you know, it's an observation that I'm making, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of, specifically the veterans, many of the old school veterans, I think many of them are kind of losing interest. Like, how many of you guys have been taking longer and longer and longer breaks from Guild Wars 2? I think there's a lot more people taking breaks than they realize, which is not necessarily bad, right? Because for them, it's not about sustaining the people to constantly play, but it's about bringing them back every year to buy that expansion, you know? But like I said, we're entering a dangerous territory where specifically this year, I think we're going to see a lot of really good games come out, that a lot of people are going to, this year and probably next year as well. Like I said, we have a whole new Nintendo console coming out, which usually means that there's a whole slew of new great games coming out for said Nintendo console, which, let's be real, the most casual of gaming consoles is Nintendo, right? And the most casual of MMOs is Guild Wars 2, right? So you have a little bit, while like I said, not many console players know that Guild Wars 2 exists, but let's be real, many PC gamers are also console gamers, and they play those, right? And if you're, you know, if we're talking about the majority of gamers that enjoy Guild Wars 2 are casual players, probably many of them play games like Nintendo games, right? That play the Mario Karts and the Mario Odysseys and the Donkey Kong Bonanzas and all those things, right? Like, they play those types of games. And, you know, with a new Nintendo console coming in and new games coming out all the time, right? It's kind of like I said, I think a good move would be to be on console, because then you would kind of be able to dip into those same people. You would be able to dip into those new consoles, but you're not dipping into that, right? So it's kind of, it might take away from the people, you know? So, but yeah, that's real. It's still, nonetheless, it's great to hear that it's a sustainable model. It's great to hear, because does that mean that we have finally landed on what we're sticking with? Is this it, right? Because that's always the question that we have as Guild Wars 2 players, right? Like, as the player base, we always have the question, are they going to change it again? Are they going to change the freaking cadence again? Are they going to change the release model again? You know, because at first it was like no expansions, and it was like expansions and raids and fractals, and then it was, well, no, at first it was no expansions with fractals, and then it was expansions with raids, and also maybe fractals. But then it went into like, we're doing Living World seasons in between because we can't do expansions all the time. And then it's like, we're gonna kind of take a break from fractals a little bit here and like have those release a little bit shorter. And then we're gonna do something completely different. We're gonna go into sagas, which are like no expansions at all. and no living world seasons, but we're gonna do all of it as sagas, which is all free content all the time. We're gonna give you expansion level features in sagas, and that completely, that ship completely sank. And then we went back to regular expansions, and then now we're doing annual expansions. And it's like, okay, are we done now? Like, are we done? Have we figured it out? Have we landed on the thing, right? Thank you so much for following. I appreciate it. But it's just kind of, it's one of those things that I don't know. I'm like, it sounds like we have landed on a thing. So we have landed on a thing that ArenaNet seems to like, that is most sustainable development wise for Guild Wars 2. I like that, right? A lot of our fans are used to living world content and the larger expansions that we used to release, and I don't fault them for looking for those things. But there's valid reasons why that's no longer sustainable for us. Overall, I think we're pretty happy with the cadence. I think we'd love to be doing more. Every game developer would probably say that about things they're releasing for the games we love. We wish we could do twice as much of this, but we've got constraints that we're operating within. What are these constraints? I wish they would give us a little bit, like the vagueness, the obscurity here makes me think that there's something more to this. Like, how is it no longer sustainable? Because you would love to be doing more, but why can't you be? Like, we have constraints. Why? What are the constraints that you're operating with, like within? Right? Like, I don't know. It's just, it feels to me like, it has this to do with has this to do with NCSoft, or is there something else that's going on internally where they can't figure out how to, I don't know. Is it that their developers aren't able to keep up with it, and they like don't want to put their team on crunch all of the time, and so they're just like, no, we can't do this anymore? Like, because I don't know. So I don't know. I just kind of had that question. I don't know where that could lead, but that's my question. I think we're also looking for ways to continue refining the model. I would say that Janthia Wilds is a much better version of the annual expansion model than we did with Secrets of the Obscure. And I think that we've got a couple of refinements in place that'll make expansion 6 an improvement over expansion 5. So I like to hear that, right? It's always, so now that we have landed on a thing, refining the thing is a good idea. And I think overall, right now, I will say overall, I am happier with Janthia Wilds than I am with Secrets of the Obscure. Overall, right? Like I said earlier, I think the initial release of Secrets of the Obscure was better than the initial release of Janthia Wilds, okay? The initial release of Janthia Wilds left me wanting a lot more. And I feel like there wasn't enough there, where I think Secrets of the Obscure had just enough as an initial release to keep me like hyped for the next releases. But then the other releases kind of fell flat, and I've had my whole rants about all of that, and whatever, like what I think happened. I've talked about that ad nauseum now. But I think overall, release wise, I mean, it really depends. I can't really say because I haven't played Absolution yet, and I haven't played the new Fractal yet, and I haven't, we haven't finished technically with the expansion yet. I don't know, but for now, I would like to think, from what my expectation is, like, we're gonna get another small map with probably another small story content that's gonna just kind of finish off the story in some way, maybe give us hints to something new. We're gonna get a Fractal that's probably gonna be very casual. It's probably gonna be very close to like the Dwarven Fractal that we have. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. That was one of the latest, that's one of the last Fractals that was released that I really, 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 really enjoyed in a lot of different ways. And I think was a great fit for Fractals. So I think that, like, if that, like, we're getting a small map, we're getting a small story content, and we're getting a Fractal, and that's kind of gonna wrap it up, for me at least. There's obviously going to be challenge modes and stuff like that coming up, but I think overall, I think I would be happier. The reason why I am personally happier with Janthia Wilds is because I feel like the story itself was a lot more coherent than what, like I said, it to me, and to kind of go back to, you know, because I said I've talked about it ad nauseum, but what I think one of the things that went wrong with Seekers of the Obscure was that I think their A team made the initial release of Seekers of the Obscure, and then they had the B team that had nothing to do with the A team, but it was just like a bunch of newer people and people that maybe didn't know the universe of Guild Wars or even like what Team A was going for, created the Nios releases, right? The three releases after the fact, because that's what it felt like. They felt very disconnected from each other. Like, they felt so disconnected from each other that, like, I feel like they could have been two separate releases, even. Like, two separate expansions. Completely. Like, in my opinion, it could have been completely different releases. You know, beside the characters that, like, had recurring roles, which you could have just replaced, or even had them still be in there, because now we even have recurring characters from Secrets of the Obscure in Janthier, in Janthier Wilds. So, but I feel like they were very disconnected. Like, Secrets of the Obscure and Nios were like two separate, like, Secrets of the Obscure and Realm of Dreams was almost like two separate releases, where Realm of Dreams was like a shit release. Like, that's what it feels like to me. But I think that Janthier Wilds is a much more coherent, like, story, the maps, the characters, right? Because, like, when we went to Nios, all of a sudden, all of the characters that were introduced to us, like, didn't exist anymore. It was like Patha was it, right? And then we got, like, all these other characters, and it was just like, okay, where are all the characters that I just met, like, back there? Why are they not here? Like, why am I learning about all of these characters, including Zoja, and then have that just completely disappear? You know, like, that's what I'm saying. It kind of felt not, like, incoherent. Anyways, moving on. But it's great to hear that they have, you know, they're making refinements to Expansion 6. Is what I want to hear, and I don't know, they're obviously never going to give that to us. I don't think we're going to hear about it in this article or whatever. But what I would like to know is, what is the reason behind the delay, the 2-month delay? What is the reason? You know, it's like one of those things where ArenaNet is always like, yeah, sorry guys, we're delaying this. It's like, give us something. Give us a reason why. You know, I think for all the praising that they do for the Guild Wars 2 community, they don't have a lot of faith in us either. You know, they don't have a lot of faith in us to understand where they're coming from when they give us a specific reason about why something isn't working. Like, there's so many other gaming companies that I have watched now over the years come out, and, like, you know, my biggest example was always like Square Enix, and like how Yoshi P always comes out on stage or on video, like when he took over as like game director or whatever he is, right? And he apologized for a game that he had no hand in, which obviously is probably like the more like, that's more the Japanese culture, right? But like, he comes in and he literally, like, almost in tears apologizes for a game that, like, he didn't have any hand in creating, and he just takes it over and he tries to do the best that he can with it, and he apologizes for it, right? And it's just kind of like, what? You didn't even have a hand in creating, like, what, like, I love it that you'd like this, but like, you don't need to apologize for that, you know? And I'm not looking for ArenaNet to sit here and apologize and cry on stream, but what I'm saying is, like, I would like to have a little bit more of transparency on, like, what is happening. You know, like, Lost Ark is one of those that they actually went, didn't they do recently, like, a stream where they kind of, like, dove into, like, some of the stuff? New World numerous times with, like, Amazon Game Studio now has, like, they have gone numerous times. I mean, obviously, it's still, like, New World is having such a rough lifetime still, and they're having such a rough time, and which I believe one of the biggest issues is the engine that they're under, or that the game is based on, or whatever. But the thing is that, like, you know, these gaming studios are coming out and they're understanding that, like, if we're honest and if we're, like, upfront about these things, and if we're, like, showing our face and saying, like, hey, we apologize for this, we apologize, like, we know we said we're gonna do like annual expansions and stuff like that, and I know they didn't say that every August we're gonna be releasing it, but you kind of, you know, when you do two of them in August, right, and you say we're doing annual expansions, people are going to be expecting them in August, because now we have a 5-month content drought and we don't know why. So the problem is people are going to get frustrated because they're going to want content for the game that they play all the time, but they don't know why they have to wait an extra 2 months. So they're just going to get mad at ArenaNet and be like, it's because you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? And they're just going to blame ArenaNet but they don't even know why it's happening. Do you see what I'm saying? So I really wish that they would be like, give us something as to the reason why you're pushing it back. Is it because you want to make refinements, right? Are you pushing it back 2 months because you're saying, you know, we've learned, like, tell us something very specific where you learned, like, you know, we learned that maybe doing this and this for Janthia Wilds at this time was a bad idea and we want to, like, release it. Like, what? I don't remember what the release. Let me look at something real quick. I want to look at something real quick. No, I don't want to look at that. Go on the news. I want to look at something, and I want to kind of read. There we go. I think this is it. Okay, why is it? Okay, there we go. So you guys can see that. So, okay, I wanted to bring this up, right? So, because we have, like, here's all the stuff that, you know, weapon sets, blah, 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 right? Like, all of the things are in here. So, is this something where, is there a reason, is one of these things the reason, right? Is for example, is one of the reasons why they're pushing it back 2 months that they want to have, like, 2 maps release here and then 3 more maps release, for example, and they want to have, like, bigger maps, and maybe they want to do, like, maybe they looked at, like, for example, I think if we look at all the releases for Janthia Wilds, I think the worst one so far has been Godspawn. I think Godspawn was it was awful. Like, they didn't really give us much in content, like, in terms of PvE, right? And, like, in terms of, like, open world PvE, it was so bad because it gave us, like, a short story that was really bad. Not bad necessarily, but I really feel like it was one of the least coherent things, and it was kind of weird, and it was really Quake, and it just didn't really, I was like, this was not really that great. Like, I didn't really. So are they looking at, like, okay, we've kind of gotten the launch down, but update 1 has kind of been lacking. So maybe they're, like, taking an extra 2 months to work on update 1 a little bit longer, right? So that they can say, okay, well, we're going to do the launch, and then we're going to do 3 months later, we're going to do update 1, but we want update 1 to be better. So maybe they're moving, like, map 3 to update 1 or something, right? Maybe they're moving the maps around a little bit, right? Like, maybe they want to do launch update 1 with map 3, update 2 with map 4, and then have the last update be something where they just kind of wrap up in map 4 and might maybe do something across all the maps, right? Because one of the things that I talked about was that for Godspawn, I wanted to see more updates to the 2 maps that had already been released, right? I wanted to see more events, specifically, like, the like Sulphur Springs area in, like, the Janthia Sentry map, like, is one of, like, there's nothing there. There's one event that spawns there, and that's it. And there's an adventure that I played, like, twice, and, like, I go out there to dig up chests, and then yes, you have the entry to Mount Belrior there, but that is just, you know, whatever. That could be anywhere on the map and it wouldn't matter, you know what I mean? So I was hoping they would like do something like. So is that something? I would love to hear them say, this is the feedback we took. We want to have one of the updates maybe, help out with the initial release or something, like where we kind of pad the initial release a little bit more and do more there, even though we don't have a new map come out, right? Like, give us something a little bit more specific, or is it something where like, they want to look at like the relics, the way that they release them, or like, is the new feature, like, are they maybe they're having they're really trying to like make the new feature that they're bringing in, which is like not going to be homesteads, but it's going to be something else. Like, are they trying to refine that? Like, a little bit more specific, right? No, I'm 2 hours late this time. Ooh, yeah, you missed it. You're missing a lot. Well, I didn't get very far. We started here, and like 2 hours in, I'm down here. Well, for the first hour, I didn't actually like read this, but anyways. So I like I said, I would love to see a little bit more when it comes to specifics. Let's see what Colin has to say. Colin, I was just kind of thinking about the conversation we had earlier about the core philosophies and player problems that we wanted to solve when we first started development on Guild Wars 2. One of the key tenets of ArenaNet has always been to respect player time, and I think we've always wanted to make games that you could take a break from. You could go and play something else, and you could come back. So many games for so long motivated with FOMO in particular, and I think, we even experimented with that a little bit in World Season 1, in Living World Season 1. Which they did, yes. They did, they experimented with, like, the one-time events that they did, with, like, the Karka event and stuff, and then Season 1 was, like, every 2 weeks, right? And, like, if you weren't there, you were missing out. Every 2 weeks, a new release, and if you weren't there, you're missing out. Makes me wonder what the numbers are on Epic. It does, right? It does kind of make me wonder about that too. Like, are those good numbers? Are they bad numbers? Like, what's going on? We learned the lesson the hard way, that we had strayed heavily from a core philosophy of ours of respecting players' time. That was a good wake-up call for the studio, but also I think it's a thing that we've consistently believed in and focused on since. We want them to feel like they can go play another game and come back, because I think in the long run, that's a healthy relationship with a game and a community, as opposed to you can never leave. It's unhealthy. I agree with him. I think so. Eventually, at some point, it will fracture and they'll never come back because it becomes an unhealthy relationship. And we've seen this with things like specifically World of Warcraft and stuff like that. World of Warcraft, like, not to sound melodramatic, but World of Warcraft has literally destroyed people's lives because they've gotten addicted to the game and they felt like that they had to jump in because they had to do the gear treadmill, and they had to, because they paid a subscription fee, they had to play every day. And many people have fallen, not just ill, but even died. I mean, there's been stories of people that are like, there was a story I remember like a few years ago. What was this, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or something like that? There was a guy in like, in some like Eastern country somewhere, like I don't remember, but it was like in Korea or something. I don't remember, but he was playing World of Warcraft in like an internet cafe for like 3 days straight. And he died. He died sitting at the computer playing World of Warcraft because apparently what happened is he was just sitting still for so long, and his heart had started like not pumping enough blood through his body, and he just died sitting there. Like, that's so scary. Like, that literally is such a horror. Like, it gives me like goosebumps just hearing that story. It scares me, right? And I love ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 for that it does respect my time. That I can take a 3-month break and I can go out and see the sunshine and touch grass and not miss out. It's one of the best things I think about Guild Wars 2, And the only way to break from an unhealthy relationship is to separate entirely and never look back. So I think we really do want people to feel like they can play as much or as little as they want, but when we have something cool for them, they will come back. And I love that. I mean, it's one of the things, no subscription fee, no gear treadmill. We talked about that. It's one of the biggest points, in Guild Wars. I wished it was a little bit more of horizontal progression that kind of drives that hardcore player, like that drives like veterans like us, you know, not just like where we look at things like you know, where we look at things like masteries and stuff like that and we think like, oh, you know, we just need to get our mastery points all the way to the top and that's good, right? Like we don't want that, you know what I mean? Partly it's a sub fee that destroys people, honestly. Not trying to be hyperbolic, but any company that still does subscription-based model are kind of blind. Well, they're not blind, but I think it's a money thing. You know, it's gaming, you know, gaming has stepped into the capitalism of the world, right? Where it's all about like the shareholders and the people that are making money off the company. You know, how do you make money off of that, right? And it's like, for most of them, it's like, yeah, subscription fee. World of Warcraft does it. Why can't we do a subscription fee? So many games do it now, right? Still to this day, they do like subscription fee, right? And it's like, they're like, yeah, because that way we lock in the player and they subscribe every month and they have to stay and play. And then they play our content and they're never going to leave, right? Like, it's an easy way to grip people to keep them there, you know? I'm all for subscription as long as it's optional. If Arena ever assumed like it would be all for it. I've talked about this before too. I would love an optional subscription. I would love to get like, you know, different perks, like ESO has like different perks, you know, when you subscribe, like the crafting bag. Not that I would ever want the crafting bag to be a thing in Guild Wars 2, but you know, I would love different perks that you get for like a subscription fee. I mean, I've made a video on it. I'm pretty sure there's a video somewhere on my channel where I made like a long rant about that. I want to say, and it's my most disliked video on my channel because was that the same video? There was a video that I created that I did a long time ago that was like a total rant towards something, and it was like, I thought it was right around that time. I remember talking about like a subscription fee that I wanted to see, and I had like a whole thing laid out for that. I remember when the Karka event went live and thinking at the time, how are they not only doing this? The ambition felt ridiculous, and friends and I still talk about it. No one had heard of Living World as a concept before, but the sustainability also for the studio must have been a headache. When you look back, was it born from a desire to carve something new, or were you trying to make a statement born out of passion? I think what's made ArenaNet special and Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars special is that we're not afraid to try new things. We're really excited about so many different innovations that were resonating in the market in Guild Wars 2, with how everyone was reacting to a game that was so different and trying so many things that hadn't been seen before. Right before we shipped the game, our studio head at the time, Mike O'Brien, was really passionate to explore it, to take that same philosophy and apply it to live. Let's do something that's never been seen before in a live game. And those first 3 months or so of live was a whole bunch of little experiments that we ran on live simultaneously. I would say holidays weren't really an experiment. We had done those in Guild Wars 1. We knew people would want those in Guild Wars 2, so I think that was the safe bet where we did was the safe bet where we did the first Halloween and the first Winter's Day, which I think those are still the top, some of the top holidays, both Halloween and Winter's Day. I think those went really well. We had a team that built fractal dungeons, which was a huge experiment. But if we built tiny little chopped up dungeons and had you play them in different orders, what if we had tiny little chopped up dungeons and had you play them in different orders? And could that be what the dungeon system and the raid system would be in this game? See, and that's the thing. So it's like, let me finish that, because oh god, he has a long response. That's all he's saying. Wow, okay. Season will definitely be a part of Guild Wars 2 subscription. Maybe a free Black Lion key each week, so 4 keys if you sub. Yeah, I think something like that, right? Like I think I've talked about this. The provision. What do they call it? The provision drops or whatever they do. They do every so often, where like the first week they're like cheap, but then you get for like 4 weeks you get something. I would love to see those as like permanent editions, as in like subscriptions, where you pay them and they don't have to be as expensive and as big as the ones that we've gotten, but having something where you subscribe to them and then like every week you get like a mystery, like a little mystery bag with little goodies in it, right? And they kind of just give you that, right? And maybe give you like a couple of perks where maybe you can hold. One of the perks that I always thought about was, you know, we talk about the crafting bag in ESO. Like, what if we got an increase of 250 crafting materials if we're subscribed, right? So you actually get like, you know, while you're subscribed, you can hold an extra 250. So instead of like 2750, you can now hold 3000 of everything. But if you unsubscribe, you can't put any more in. You can only take out to whatever, you know, 2750 or whatever, right? Like something like that. Would be really cool. I think that would be really would be nice to have, you know. And then just like every week have like goodies drop, and you get like stuff out of the gem store. You know, you get like a nice gem store skin like once a month or something. That's like 800 gold or something, or 800 gems, you know, or 500 gems or something. Or you get like, you know, you get like a mount license, and maybe have like different like options where you can say like, you know, what is it that you prefer in your mystery bag, right? Do you prefer like mount licenses, or or armor skins, or outfits, or weapon skins, or, you know, or I want like a mix of all of these, or, you know, and like give you like an option to kind of customize your goodie bag that you get every week, you know. $5 a month, 10. I mean, something like that. They could do different options, right? They could do a 5 month, a 10 month. I would love to see a 5 month, a $5 a month option. I think that would be kind of cool. I think that would be like, they just give you like, you know, 1 item every week or something, and then if you do like, and you get like 4 items out of the month. But if you do like $10, you get like 2 items every week or something, and then like, you know, so you get like, you know, you get like 8 items, you know, by the end of the month for like $10. You know, I mean, there's so many things in the gem store now, and it's like, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, something like that. I think it would be kind of cool. The Karka event was another team that was an experiment. Most of the studio was watching Game of Thrones at the time. In particular, our studio had really liked Game of Thrones, and so the challenge was, could we create a live event that approached the spectacle of what everyone had around Game of Thrones? Everyone was talking about the newest episode. Everyone was debating the excitement of it. And that moment when it came out and the next day of work, it was all anyone could talk about. It was all anyone talked about. Back when Game of Thrones was really at its height, he challenged us to come up with the same thing. Living World was not the goal. The Karka event was the goal, and we could add a new region to the game that has a one-off life event that blows people away and gets them all talking about it. I think we succeeded. I think so too. I think the Karka event was a great idea overall. Obviously, a lot of people like kind of crashed, and it was like, you know, it was still early on, and the servers were in like, I think there was still like structurally there was a lot of things that they hadn't figured out yet and stuff. You know, with the mega servers and stuff that didn't exist back then and stuff like that. But now, I think now having an event like that would be freaking crazy. I think to our point that you still talk about it or remember today, it's I think to your point that you still talk about it or remember today, it's unfortunate certain parts of that event broke at the key moments. That's another part that I'll remember for the rest of my life. But I think we all walked away from that weekend of the Karka that going, holy crap, that was intense. When I used to play Sorter, I liked the $30 instant 2-month sub option they had. Yeah, if you sub maybe free mount skin or glider skin of your choice amongst a few choices, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, there's so, like, that's the thing. They one of their main monetary incomes is the gem store, right? And we see new gem store skins every week. Like, every week there's like a new thing that goes into the gem store, right? And over 13 years, that's a ton of freaking skins. Like, even people that have played the game every like day, you know, they still don't have all of the skins. And even if they do, like I said, even if they do, giving them something like a little bit extra, like giving them something a little bit, you know, like I said, where they give like more crafting materials that they can deposit, or maybe give them like, I don't know, give them like something else, you know, I don't know what they would be giving them, but you know, like giving them like a perk or something that you get from it, you know, maybe a title or some weird stuff like that, you know. I don't know. No one's ever done anything really like that before, at least not since the early days of MMOs back when they were MUDs. What the hell is MUDs? And making the transition when GMs were running events. That's as close as we ever got to bringing something like that forward in the modern day. The reaction was overwhelmingly positive, mixed with a whole bunch of feedback on how it could be better. I think that we took that and said, let's double down on it. The smaller releases that we have, I would love to see something like the Karka event, right? Where they say like, oh, this weekend only, you know, because they do the bonus events and stuff, but those are not like content editions, right? But I want something that's only available for like a weekend that you can only play that weekend. And I know that their philosophy is always about respecting players' times and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't know. It would be kind of cool to have something like that, I think. The bugs where people got rewarded like 17 precursors. Always heard rumors that the Chinese kind of have a subscription model and the Chinese players get like 200 gems a month for free. Well, I was thinking about that too, and I think in my argument when I talked about having a subscription fee, like I talked about how they could be sending you like 100 gems for the month or something. The problem is that there is gems to gold conversion, and you're gonna be flooding like, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of gold coming into the community, I feel like, because I think people are less likely to swipe their credit card to get gems to turn into gold. But if you make it part of a subscription where you get extra stuff and you get like 200 gems with it, you're gonna see all these people, because they're gonna be getting sent like, they're gonna be, you know, maybe if it's only gems, that could work, you know, people could buy their own stuff with it. But if you do gems and they get goodies from the Black Line trading company, like from the gem store, then it would be a problem, because then people aren't going to be using the gems to get the skins, because they're going to be automatically be sent skins, and they're going to be turning it into gold, and then you have all this liquid gold coming into the game, you know. So there's a fine line, I feel like, that they have to be careful. Didn't have gems to gold conversion. It was different because of the way Chase and useful trade. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, if you don't have that, then that makes sense. If they don't have a gems to gold conversion, then that makes sense, which they probably did on purpose, you know. But anyways, occasionally spectacle like that is amazing, valuable, and a really cool thing. I will give kudos to Fortnite and say I think they did a really good version of that in retrospect, of some of the early events that they did in Fortnite, where they almost did a living world. I had no idea if they knew Guild Wars 2 or if they had any idea what we did back then, but many years later, when Fortnite was doing some of that stuff, it looked like they had taken some of our lessons and applied it in a really good way. It was not all the time, and it was a spectacle, and then it was gone again. In retrospect, trying to repeat that over and over and over again wasn't good for our players. It wasn't sustainable, and we changed, obviously, and we were very open about how we're going to change it. Living World and its role changed over time, and so yes, I think back on some of those events really fondly, or some of the stuff we did in Living World Season 1 is nuts. It was absolutely crazy. It was stuff that no one does, and I'm really proud of the team that we did those things. I think instead we should have done 1 or 2 of those a year and focused on adding a lot more permanent content simultaneously. We went back and added Living World Season 1 retroactively as a thing you mostly could play through because we felt that way. Because we felt that way, that they needed more yeah, got it. Okay. If I look past those one-off events, the other big regret I would point to, or a lesson learned maybe from that era, that I think Josh has done a really good job of applying to the current strategy, is we really struggled to get anyone to take Living World seriously at the level of an expansion. When you announce an expansion, everyone gets excited. All those players who left the game, they peek back over and say, what's going on? What's going to be in this expansion? What's the new things that are coming? Press cover it. Jesus, the writing is like, it's so hard to read. It's just, I don't know if it's me, but I'm having such a hard time reading this, because it's like he puts this in parentheses and then he poses many more questions, but that's the only quote. Like I don't really, sometimes I don't get that. Okay, let me restart that sentence. It's such a drawn out sentence. The sentence goes from here to here. That's all one sentence. It's such a drawn out sentence. All of those players who left the game, they peek back over and say, what's going on? What's going to be in this expansion? What's the new things that are coming? Press cover it. The level of noise that gets generated around an expansion is exponential. Does that sentence not make sense to anyone else, or is it just me? Like, structurally, it just doesn't. It's weird. I hate, like I said, I don't want to sit here and bash someone, but it's like, I'm trying to read this, man. Just trying to read this, viewers, too. Our hope was that, like, I look like an idiot, you know? Our hope was that Living World would do the same thing that we could by branding it and creating something entirely new, that we would cross that level of spectacle and excitement and coverage in a way that no one had before. What we found many years later, it didn't. Press very rarely covered Living World, and when they did, it was kind of just a one-on-one life update. It was never at the spectacle of an expansion. Most players who lapsed from the game, a Living World update wouldn't get them to come back. And I suppose that's true, and I guess it makes for a good... The problem... So there is an issue with this, though, that I have, right? So he's talking about how Living World pretty much didn't work, because Living World... They put as much effort into Living World as they did into expansions. And I think when we look specifically at like Living World Season 3 and Season 4, we can agree on that. If Living World Season 3 and Living World Season 4 were expansions, they would be solid expansions, right? Like, they added a ton of maps, a ton of gear, a ton of skins, a ton of like things like, you know, Roller Beetle, Sky Scale, like all of these things, right, came in. Like, the mastery system was expanded on. Like, Season 3 had some interesting masteries, even though we didn't get to see many of them come back. But nonetheless, you know, they put a lot of effort into it, right? So they're saying Living World doesn't work, right? Which is totally fine. So now they're switching it over to doing annual expansions, but they still technically have a Living World that's happening in between those releases, right? Because every other MMO does, you know, they do their big expansions and then they do other updates that are coming after that. They're not calling them Living World. They're not, you know, I mean, you know, it's the same thing, but ArenaNet is kind of, they're putting main features of an expansion into these updates that are coming afterwards, which makes it feel more like a Living World. So it's like, they're not calling it Living World, but you technically have Living World seasons that are in between. Because I can tell you right now, the Repentance, the Godspawn, the Absolution releases, they're not bringing people back into the game. Okay, they're not bringing people back. Like, there's literally no, I don't think there's anyone that goes, ooh, Absolution, look at that trailer, yeah, I gotta go play it. Like, I don't think that's how it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really think he kind of is missing the mark there a little bit too. Like, you still have Living World happening, just because you're not calling it that anymore and you're not getting the press release that you got before. You know, you're still doing it the cadence that you did Season 3 and Season 4, which was every 3 months you do a release, right? It's the same thing. You could highlight it all and have AI read it to us. Text to speech. How does that work? I've never done that before. Is that a thing that I could do? Is that something I can do, like, on... like, in my browser? I want to try that out. Maybe I'm not doing that right now, but, like, is it just me, though? Is it just me that's, like, weird about this? Like... Oh, they have a chat GPT in here? What's the service? What do you provide as a service? Chat GPT? Did I get anything out of it? Translate, explore more. No. No, go back. No. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. What did I just do? I don't know what I did. I gotta scroll. Wait, oh, I went back to the other page. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it would probably sound really funky, right? Like, I'm really looking for people's opinions here. Like, am I like just not able to read it properly? Like, I don't know. Where was I? Yeah, I was right here. Okay. Initial release of the expansions need to be retooled, in my opinion. Give us all the system and stuff up front, like new weapons, all the maps, with the story being slowly trickled every 3 months. People can choose to burn themselves out and explore all the content in the maps, or just wait for the story. Let me think about that. So, the way you're proposing is, we would have the Fractal, the Raid, all 4 maps. Like, let's just take Janthia Wilds as an example. All 4 maps come out all during their initial release. I don't know if I would like that too much. Because I guess one of the things that brings people back in are the maps. Are the new maps, right? Like, seeing the new maps kind of brings in some of the people. I feel like, or even as a person that plays all the time, I love the idea of like, oh, we have a new map to go to, right? Like, if I'm already playing on all, the problem is, how do you design that? If the story, here's the thing, the maps usually reflect the current story that we're doing, right? Like, did that way and it turns out fine. Yeah, but the problem with that is, if you let's say we do the initial release of Janthia Wilds, which the story at that point only takes place in Lowland Shore. We get to meet the Coden, blah blah blah. We learn that something is happening on the inner islands of Janthir. We go to Janthir Sentry. We start learning about the village of Gavril, the experiments made on the Bloodstone. There was a Bloodstone there, the explosion, the Bloodstone ghosts, all of these things, right? And we then meet the Titans, and we defeat them until Aura steps in, and that's the end of the initial release of Janthia Wilds, right? Like, that's kind of a synopsis of the initial story of Janthia Wilds. So then at that point, I can go to Mistburnt Barrens and go to the outer city there, and I have characters going around exploring the ancient city of Bavanissos with the Mersat and Seer War, and Bloodstone is there, but we don't know how that connects to the story at all. How would I feel about that? And we see Titans there, but we don't know anything about the story. We know that, and we can go into the inner city of Bavanissos, which you haven't been able to even go to, and we would be able to explore all that space. We would see how all that looks. We'd be able to see the Mistgate, all of that stuff. I'm trying to find a flaw in that, but I don't know. I don't think that, because if you cut off the story, because here's the thing, and you're not wrong, because a lot of the map stuff that's happening, the events on the map, the meta events and all that stuff, many times it doesn't even talk about the events that are actually happening, or the actual events in the story, right? Like, any of the events that are happening on Mistburnt Barrens do not involve any of the main characters. Isgarin isn't there, Anise isn't there, Livia isn't there, Pokey isn't there, like, none of the characters are there, right? It's all different NPCs. So it would actually work. None of the stuff that happens in the story actually really gets mentioned. So you're not necessarily wrong. That could still work. Like, if we look at something like Seekers of the Obscure, for example, Seekers of the Obscure would even work even better, because we go to one map. We have one map that we're getting, right, which is Nio's. So we have the initial release of Seekers of the Obscure. We learn about the Wizard's Tower, Beacon of Ages, Mabana's there. We meet Lear, we meet all these other people, the Astral Ward, the Wizard, the other wizards and stuff like that. We make our way into the tower. We unlock the tower. That becomes like our hub world. We learn a little bit more of the wizard's court and the astral ward. Then we make our way into from Skywatch Archipelago into Omnitas. Omnitas has, like, you know, we learn about the astral ward even more. We learn a little bit about the Cryptus. The Cryptus keep invading. You know, we kind of learn about, like, Eparch. Paitha is there, right? Like, Paitha is tagging along. We defeat the demon guy. We free Iskaran, blah, blah, blah. We meet Paitha, and Paitha says there's a civil war going on, right? So we end that story there, and we're then able to actually go to Nyos and just hang out in Nyos and do all the stuff in Nyos. Now what I feel... Now, the problem is that at the end of Nyos, we face off against... We face... The only reason why this works in Janthia Wilds is because we don't face Titans and Mistborn Barons. Because the enemies in Mistborn Barons, the story in Mistborn Barons is kind of a side story to what's going on actually currently in the story. It doesn't have to do with the Titans. It doesn't really have to do anything with, like, the Mursad, like the Mursad specifically. I mean, it's about the history of the Mursad, right? It doesn't have anything like current going on, right? And but the problem is, so if we like, let's say, right, we go back to Secrets of the Obscure. If I'm able to go into Nyos and I'm able to do all the meta events and go in and do all the meta events and go into the Citadel of Zakharos and defeat Eparch and Zakharos, I don't think I would be very excited about the story that much anymore, because I feel like I would know where the story's going in the end, right? In a way. Not exactly, because it kind of the meta event ends in the hall down below, and it doesn't have us go all the way to the top of the Citadel, right? Like all the way up the tower where he waits for us and we defeat him, and there's the Eye of Janthia and stuff like that. But it could still work. I mean, you have a point. If it's designed that way, it could work, right? Where they kind of make the meta events not really, like the events on the map, not really be about what's happening in the story. If they can make it like that, I think that's a good idea. But they would need to kind of change the way that they release the stuff, right? The way Final Fantasy XIV does it is they'll add new content story to the maps the expansion introduces, and maybe even sometimes a new area zone or two added with each bi-weekly or monthly update. Maybe Guild Wars 2 is just too different and they can't do it this way, but yeah, I don't know. Don't get me started on the current issues of some characters not having voice acted lines, so that kind of deadens the open world even more. I mean, we could read, but who does that? Yeah, I know. We play Guild Wars 2 because we don't want to read, because we don't know how to read, okay? We're Guild Wars 2 players, we don't know how to read, we just want to listen to voices in our head. Specifically Anissa's voice. I miss Anissa's voice. I get what's going on, and I understand completely what's going on with the voice actors and stuff like that, but I've always loved Anissa's voiceovers, and I miss it. End of Dragons is a perfect example of my idea working. All of those maps are easily explorable and can do all the events without any of it truly tying into overall End of Dragons story. Well, except for the last map, right? Which you know, the Harvest Temple, like all that stuff over there, the meta there, because that's fighting Suwan, right? So if I don't play the story, like let's say the initial story takes place on Saitung, and then then we have 3 releases coming after that, meaning New Kaineng happens, the story of New Kaineng happens 3 months later, the story of the Echovald Wilds happens 6 months later, and then what's the last map? I keep forgetting the name of it, but the Harvest Temple map in the Jade Sea, that's 9 months later. The problem is that we would see Suwan before we even meet her in the story. Do you see what I'm saying? So we then have, and we're fighting Void in the last map. Why are we're fighting Void in the 3rd map? We don't know what the hell Void is. We don't know what Void is when we go to like map 4, right? And that's all what map 4 is void. We're fighting void enemies like everywhere. So what, you know, it's kind of like, it kind of ruins that, because it's just like, oh, we're fighting these void, who the hell are these guys, you know? So I don't know. I like the idea though. I wouldn't be completely against it, because I think having smaller expansions release annually is fine. The problem is you're taking annual expansions and you're then chopping those up as well, meaning that the initial release of it leave a lot of people wanting more, and they have to wait 3 months to even get anything, and many of the things they get like 6 months or 9 months later, right? And they're like, well, what the fuck? Like, I paid for this expansion, you want to tell me I gotta wait 9 months to get the Fractal that I want to play because I'm a Fractal player and I play him every day, and you told me you're gonna give me a new Fractal with it, and now you're releasing your schedule and you're telling me in 9 months I'm gonna get my Fractal that I just paid for? Well, that sucks, right? I feel like there's a little bit of a turn off there. So, Dragon's End, thank you. I always forget that the last map of those expansions were always named after, not all the expansions, but of some of those, because it was like Dragon's Stand, Dragonfall, Dragon's End. But yeah, anyways. Hello. My trash can wouldn't open. Like I just emptied it today. They would only come back for an expansion, so I think in retrospect there was a lot to learn from that as well. If you want to be able to re-engage a customer and have a game where it's okay to leave and come back, and you really want to focus on your core base, you have to have things that signal broadly that now is a good time to come back, check out the game again. We learned over the years that Living World was not that, unfortunately. We learned that at the cost of the studio being a lot smaller today than it used to be, which that's not true. Wait a minute, isn't it true that after they had fired all of those people, they've rehired, and that the studio is now bigger than it was before the firing? Did they get rid of a bunch of people? Is it much smaller now? How big? Like, I heard that ArenaNet was like about 400 people strong. And then they had to fire like 125 people, and it brought them down to like in the upper 200s. And then shortly after that, right around the time of like End of Dragons, like, you know, because that was the time of like Icewood Saga, and then they needed to End of Dragons and all of this stuff, right? And then like right around of End of Dragons, they had they hired all of these people, and they were like almost back to the regular size. So how are they did they fire a bunch of people? Did a bunch of people leave right now? A friend of mine had an idea on what if Galadev was revamped. It was the 4th map that leads to Dragon's End as a 5th map. Revamp Galadel's to tie into the story instead of being what it was. It's just too much work, I think. While I do like the idea, I just think Galadelv is like, it's one of those lost content things, right? It's like it's the Champions release of End of Dragons. You know, it's bad, and I wish they would look at it at some point in time and maybe make it better, and maybe make it because no one runs it anymore. No one runs it. I've always wanted to get that armor set from there, and I didn't. At the time I tried to get it and I couldn't get it. Like, I didn't play enough back then, and then now like you can't. It's like impossible to get a group together. So it's one of those maps that's just, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things in End of Dragons that I think they could have done differently and better. So I don't know. I think they've kind of moved on from all of. I think they've moved on from all of those other expansions, and they're really set on like just doing the annual expansions. It's kind of a shame because, like I said, you know, the core game needs to be updated, and I think some of the expansions are kind of falling behind too. So I don't know, but anyways, I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. We learned over the years that Living World was not that, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's the thing. So here's my thinking. So what if they push back the initial release of the next expansion because they want to front load the next expansion? What if that is one lesson they have learned? I didn't even say that as a possibility earlier. What if they learned their lesson as in, okay, having some of the things released 3 months later, 6 months later, 9 months later kind of soured some of the people, and we want to bring that to the initial release, but we need to push the initial release further back to be able to finish those up and put those in. That would be kind of cool. I'd be okay with that, you know. Yellow Delves leads to the instance with Marjorie and New Graveside for her sisters, so I'll always appreciated for that. And our main character, the commander going through existential crisis, was interesting. It was, I mean, the story itself wasn't bad. I liked the story, and I liked many, you know, I liked the story. I just think that, like, Kaineng City was really shit. They could have done so much better with Kaineng City, like New Kaineng City, like, New Kaineng could have been so much better, because, like, just change the music for one. Like, the music already sets the music sets the tone, and the tone is empty streets, empty open space with nothing in it. That's what the music, if you ever go in, and I've told you guys this, I've talked about this, I can't figure out if I want a hot or cold in here right now. I've talked about this many times. If you ever, like, go into Kaineng City, New Kaineng, crank up the volume on the music, just listen to it, and just kind of look around the city. Because the main theme of Kaineng City makes it look like, not like a neon sign, like futuristic, whatever, like Asian city from the future, right? Asian inspired city from the future or whatever. It makes it sound like it's an empty, like an empty city with nothing in it. That's what the music conveys. It's a very slow, it's a very it's weird. It's completely unfitting, right? And the NPC density, the event density, the event variety wasn't there to support a city like that. They should have done way more. There should have been, like, pickpockets that, like, you know, we have the thieves that are there, but they should have actually had, like, I don't know, it should have worked differently. They should have had actual, like, you know, they talk about gang members moving around, right? It's so weird, because the only time that these gang members that hang out, they go hostile during the meta event. That's the only time that you see them going hostile. I would love for them to all of a sudden, like, you know, because you walked by, they're you know, many of them are just like these, I forgot what they call them, but they're these, like, street thugs or whatever, right? And they're yellow, meaning that you can attack them, but they're not actually evil to you. Like, you walk by them and they turn red because they're like, there's the guy that we want to take out. Like, he's this, you know, he's this hero type that we don't like, and we go after him, right? And this event pops up. I've talked about how, you know, they have canals in New Kaineng. I would love for them to have these, one of the skimmer skins is that hover bike, the Synergetics hover bike or whatever that goes across the water. I would have loved to have seen a green version of that, of these gang members going across the canals, and you have to, like, reel them in, right? Like, during season 4, if you guys remember, like, you could run after you could mount up and you can run after the Hydra, and you had to throw, like, a lasso at it and, like, kind of reel it in, right? It would be really cool to have that, where you, like, have to reel in these guys. You have to, like, go after them on your skimmer or on your skiff or whatever. You have to go after them, and you have to, like, reel them in, and then they go on land, and then that's where the event pops up or something like that, right? Where, like, okay, now you got to fight them, right? I wanted to really see, like, they have the holograms and stuff like that go through the city. Like, I would have really have loved to see, like, a parade, like a city like that, like a futuristic, like, you know, like, we're talking about, like, a Neo Tokyo kind of, like, vibe, right? They have fucking parades, man. Have, like, parades go around, right? Where you have to keep these street thugs from, like, interrupting the parade, right? Like, that would have been a really cool, like, meta event, I think. Like, a parade that goes through the whole city, and you have to, like, there's, like, different events that pop up, right? We're talking about, like, ooh, you have to shoot down, like, propaganda balloons, right? Which is, like, something they did during Iceberg Saga, right? Like, shoot those down because, you know, they're throwing out pamphlets that are, like, you know, propaganda against the Empress, you know, against Empress Een or something. You have to shoot those down. Or, you know, they, like I said, they have like these thugs that are like stealing money from people, like while they're hanging out, like enjoying their time, right? But like have this big parade that goes around, and there's like, you know, like confetti flying everywhere, and those holograms are everywhere, and there's like dancers on the streets, and there's like whatever. Like, make it lively. It was like New Kaineng is supposed to be this lively place where like all these people hang out, and it's like super futuristic, and you know, like no one really needs to work because we have like mechs that do all the work for us, and we have all this like Dragon Jade that's doing all the shit for us. You know what I mean? Like where we have time to throw parades and stuff. Like that's what I was looking for in New Kaineng. And what we got is like an empty like city with like barely any NPCs, barely any dialogue. There's like barely any NPCs that are talking even, and you just kind of, it's ghost town. It's like literally a ghost town. If you make it dark and you make the town look more like decrepit in different ways, it's like fucking ghost town. Like it's bad, you know? That's what I was looking for. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put this on. So that's what I envisioned for New Kaineng. That's what I wanted to see for New Kaineng. I wanted to see something a little bit more exciting, something a little bit more like, oh, okay, we're really getting like, because to me it was supposed to be the idea of the stark contrast. Like it would have made a really cool stark contrast to have this go from the Saitang province, which is more of this like, there's a lot of greenery, and there's a lot of like, you know, a lot of like fishers and like, you know, fishermen and like monastery students and stuff like that, you know, and that's kind of like, you know, that's like, okay, you know, that's the calm side of Kantha, right? And then you go into like the big city, and all of a sudden, oh my god, and you're getting like the other side of it, right? Like you're going from the traditional to the, you know, from the traditional, which is like, you know, the monastery and the students, right? And there's not a lot of like, you see some of the technology, but it's like not that prevalent, right? But you go into the big city where it's just like everywhere, and it's just like there's people everywhere, and like the culture is like kind of different, right? Because you're going from like this isolated rural island to this like town where like everyone is hanging out and technology's everywhere and all this stuff is happening. That's what I wanted to see for Kaineng City, you know? First of all, the gang members that aren't hostile until you fight them, they need to make them hostile. Well, I don't think they need to be hostile because, you know, yes, they're thugs, but they're kind of, many of them are just standing around. Like, they're just standing around, which is fine. They can stand around, right? We don't know what they did. We don't know, like, you know, a thief isn't a thief until he's caught, right? Like, until he's, like, you know, innocent until proven guilty kind of thing, right? Like, we don't know what they did. They're just, like, street thugs. We don't know if they beat someone up or whatever. But if we, like, happen to walk by and they're just like, yeah, we don't like your face, we're going to beat you up. Well, now you're bad guys, I'm going to beat you up, right? Like, I like that idea. Events where someone steals your gold and you got to chase them down. I mean, that would be kind of cool. Like the script, but different. That would be cool. Or have an event where the massive whale hologram malfunctions and causes a firestorm. Oh, that'd be cool. I would love that. Where like it goes crazy and you actually have to like shut it down. Like, where is this hologram coming from? Like, there's so many possibilities. Like I said, I hope that I kind of painted you guys a picture of like a much cooler, like, you know, Kaineng City. Like, that's what I was looking for, you know? So, while I love the story of End of Dragons, I just think there were certain marks that they missed. You know, there's certain things where they could have done better, and that's one of them, you know? Did I read this? I learned over the years was not it. Okay, yeah, I read all this. So this is the new legendary back piece. You can write on your own little Void Suwan right there. There you go. As a final question to finish, do you have a favorite moment that you were really proud of, irrespective of media uptake or community sentiment from that time? Bobby says, I have two that are probably a little off base from what we're talking about, but I'll throw them out. The Steam release was just amazing because I was in Germany at the time when those servers went live, but I brought my Steam Deck and was actually was and actually was able to log in. It was amazing how many existing players were there welcoming all the new Steam players. I do remember that event as well. I hadn't felt that same level of community spirit since launch, and that was just wonderful to see, because at that point, I think the game was, what, 10 years old? Yeah, something like that, 10, 11. That was just really heartwarming, bringing it to a new audience, and seeing the community rally behind it was amazing. Secondly, with Heart of Thorns, when we did the raids, I think just working on the raids was really educational for me. I learned a lot from working with designers who were really patient and just really trying to, God, the amount of really that they're using. Just really trying to do something different with our version of that type of endgame content. I really loved my time working with those folks on something that was a bit smaller and more defined, and just really trying to experiment. Josh says, I experienced the launch of Guild Wars 2 as a fan, but like I mentioned earlier, it was pretty clear from the get-go that the game was going to be pretty special. A lot of very clear signals back then. The game's launch sales, even live stream viewership was a nascent space at the time, but it was still really clear. But it was still really clear, a kind of visit indicator to players how the game was doing. Metacritic reviews were off the charts. I think as a developer, and my favorite moment for that first season, it really didn't feel very real, because those things are kind of abstract in a sense. It feels very almost disconnected from the actual game experience. What? Hearing really hearing really so much makes me think of Autism Powers, Dr. Evil. Austin Autism. I'm losing my mind reading this article. Holy shit. Oh my god. I'm like, is it me? Am I the crazy person? Let me dissect this, okay? It feels really... Oh my god, I'm crying. Oh man, that really got me. Oh my... Oh, I don't know why that's so funny to me. Oh, alright. Breathe. Oh my god, I don't know why that's so funny to me. I literally got myself. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it just really cracked me up. Like, reading this is making me go crazy. Oh my god, I'm crying. Oh my god. Oh boy, Jesus. Oh, it's just, why did I think of autism powers? Oh my god. I just, like, it feels very almost disconnected from the actual game experience was the Tequado release. That doesn't even make sense. Make it make sense, please. Oh my god, reading this is just like, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard to read this, I tell you. Like, I'm not a good reader. I don't read. You guys need to understand, I haven't read a book since like 10th grade, okay? I don't read. The best I read is like Wikipedia articles or anything like that, you know, articles like this. But this is like, it feels very almost disconnected from the actual game experience was the Tequado release, and specifically the event that we ran at PAX, kind of doubling up on Bobby's point here. Like, come on. Oh man, that just really got me. Autism activate. I mean, like, where did I get, like, literally my brain is so, like, jumbled right now from reading this that I thought Austin Powers meant autism powers. Anyways, That anniversary that we ran at PAX Prime in 2013 was just wild. We were at the event with a huge army of fans lined up all the way down the street, wrapping around the street and just seeing the level of enthusiasm, excitement for the game and for the community, and being able to understand a bit more concretely what the game meant to folks was just awesome. Being able to reveal the Taquato fight, which is pretty ambitious and pretty damn cool. In terms of the things we did for Living World Season 1, I think it was just a super special moment to me. Yeah, okay, so they kind of just talk about their experiences, what their favorite moments were, so that's kind of nice to hear. It's kind of sad that one of Josh's most, like, he hasn't had, and I'm not saying he hasn't had, but the one thing that he thinks about was from 1 year after release, and like in 12 years time he hasn't had a moment like that again. That's kind of sad to me, right? Like, I wish there was like something where he could say, you know, like, you know, Josh, because Bobby talked about the Steam release, which was super recent, right? Like, that was like a super recent thing. That was like, what, 3 years ago or something? So that kind of is like, okay, cool. So that's like a highlight, but he like asking what a highlight of his was, and he has to think back 12 years ago, right? To like find a highlight. It's a little sad to me. And then it needs to be the title of the fourth Austin Powers movie now. Autism. Well, you put it at autism. Like, yeah, autism powers. No, yeah, no. That's horrible. That's not good. Like, it's almost sounds like I'm trying to make fun of like autistic people, and I'm not. And that was horrible. I feel so bad. That's why, like, I was laughing of like, why did my brain do this? I cannot believe that I got into like this laughing fit too. It's like, it shows you how this is all messing with my mind right now. Colin says it's controversial, but I think the transition out of season 1 and the battle for Lion's Arch and the setup for Living World transition into Heart of Thorns. I think that entire flow is probably number 1 for me. Again, a moment 12 years ago. Both of these people that have been with the company for a very long time, their highlight is from 12 years ago. Kind of sad, you know? I think the concept of being willing to just completely destroy a capital city of your game, still to this day I get chills thinking about those events and the music in particular, and the battle with Scarlet and going on the Breachmaker. The content and the experience and all of the community discussion around it that exploded during that window. I think that is as close as we ever got to the spectacle of what we had maybe envisioned the potential of Living World being, and maybe just for a moment we touched the clouds. And that's, I mean that's kind of nice. I get that, you know, but it's just kind of sad to think that, like, you know, their first expansion release, which was massive, right? Like, that doesn't do anything for them. You know, finishing the dragon story, right, with End of Dragons, and kind of wrapping up the whole idea of the Elder Dragons, and, you know, Oreen really like kind of taking her place amongst the world and stuff like that, like that not being the a highlight that they can think of, right? It kind of makes me sad a little bit. We're all autistic, it's fine. Yeah, I'm autistic, it really don't offend me, bro. It was hilarious. I'm sorry. I was like, what was the sentence that got me? It was up here. This was the sentence, right? Like, it was there's something in the beginning of this I think, because the sentence right here, the sentence goes from here to 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 here. Again, it's a 3-line sentence. It's such a long sentence, right? And I was like trying to read it, and I was like, by the end of it, I lost my mind, and I was like, I could hear in my voice how like I was like talking like this, and I'm like, because I don't know where they were going with it. It was going on so long that I didn't know where they were going with it. So it was kind of crazy. Obviously, there are some swings and misses after that. Most fans would say they liked the original Lion's Arch, especially nostalgia-wise, versus the one that came back later. I think that adds a little bit of a checkered note to that release. But I think the concept of it and how it laid into the story, and us all knowing the secrets. Well, you know what? People like the original. See, the problem wasn't that you destroyed the original. The problem was that many people didn't like what you made of it. Many people don't like the new look of Lion's Arch, right? Like, a lot of people had the dislike wasn't that you destroyed Lion's Arch. The problem was that what you did with it afterwards. So it wasn't like it wasn't necessarily a miss with the actual release itself, the idea of destroying that, but I think it was like that people didn't like that you made a theme park out of it, which is one of the things that allowed people compare it to, like the look of it, right? But I think the concept of how it laid into the story, but the concept of it and how it laid into the story, and us all knowing the secret about the Sylvari and their background and how that transitioned into everything that followed. I don't know. I give up. I'm at the end of this article. That is what Living World was intended to be and what we envisioned when we first started, when we were challenged to come up with a Game of Thrones video game experience in a live game. I think that was probably as close as us ever getting to what that concept, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay. So again, it's like when we first started, when we like stuff like that, when I read it out loud, like, right, is like intended to be what we envisioned when we first started, when we first it's so repetitive and it's so obnoxious, and these like just 10 billion like carry on, you know, long running ad sentences. Jesus, this article is hard to get through. My God. I'm so sorry if anyone was like, you know what, I'm done with this guy. I'm gonna read the comments here. Stop playing. Oh, I did read that yesterday. Stop playing because dungeons were a mess without refined roles. No HT. No healer tank. No, is that what he's saying? Area map scaling. I don't know what he means by that. And jumping puzzles. Okay, first of all, jumping puzzles, like 95% of jumping puzzles in the game are like optional. You do not need to do them. And area map scaling, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. What does that even mean? Yeah, I've tried to get into 3 different times, bored by level 20. Don't know why. One of those games that should have worked for me, but didn't. Bored by level 20. If you just play the game, if you just dive in and you play the game, you can get there by like, you can get there in a few hours. So people try to get into the game, and after like a few hours they already get, like, I don't know, that's kind of strange. Guild Wars still missing all the features that made the original grade. Right now it's just another World of Warcraft clone. Level 80 mounts, raids, fast, anti-social dungeons. Is it weird that I disagree like 100% with this? It is so far from a World of Warcraft clone that I cannot even, like, it's in the same genre, but it's literally opposite spectrums. Like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, the entire MMO genre, right? Like, they're so far on the other side. How is it a World of Warcraft clone? Like, not even at all. Level 80? What does that even mean? World of Warcraft has been over level 80 for a long time. Mounts? The mounts are so different in Guild Wars 1. They like feel so much better than in World of Warcraft. Map scaling, I can agree with. Level 80s and low level maps kind of ruin the experience for a lot of people. You talk about it, complain about it yourself quite often. These level, yeah. So, but you know, and so if that's what he's talking about, if that's what he means by area map scaling, so yes, I do agree with that. I think that is something that does ruin the game. Having level 80s go in with their sky scales and just like run from event to event and like destroy all the mobs in like 3 seconds because they have their raid builds. Yes, it sucks, right? But you know what that goes back to? That goes back to power creep in the game, right? It has nothing really to do with the scaling. It has to do with that the game has moved on so far from the core game that the core game enemies don't even work. Like I talked about that earlier today when I started playing, like boons, for example. Like enemies in the core game of Guild Wars 2 don't really apply boons to themselves. They don't use boons that often. You see them once in a while. There's certain enemies like Dredge, for example, they'll apply a few boons and stuff like that, but like boons aren't used on enemies that often. The AI on some of these enemies sucks really bad. Like you can get bandits to like just chase you around and like do nothing and like be really just like these really easy enemies that you can just like avoid by like just walking around. Like there's a lot of issues with that where they have improved on NPC AI and just like the way that it works on like a fundamental level, and that's one of the reasons why they need to go back and upgrade the core game. I think if they went back and upgraded the core game and made the core game a little bit more challenging and up to date on like the current way, I think the scaling wouldn't be as bad. I think having level 80 characters go around with their raid builds wouldn't be as bad. It still wouldn't be good, and I still wouldn't be okay with it, but I think it wouldn't be as horrible as it is now. Fight stop or do anything, but yeah, CORSAIR needs a rebalance. It really does. It really does. The more that I think about it, the more that we talk about it, the more that we bring up all these different points and we talk about it like almost every stream now, I feel like it's just like it needs to happen. It really needs to happen. What's the current state of Guild Wars 1? That was a special game. Well, it's still live and you can still play all of the content, and there's a ton of people playing right now. Like, guys, Guild Wars 1 right now is so busy still. There's so many people. I just streamed it last week. There's still so many people playing, you know? Imagine the bandits in Shame are actively using stealth and giving themselves protection dodge. Yeah, or using like blind on you. Like, they do use blind, but it's like doesn't happen that often. You know, and like, I don't know, there's so many, like the one mechanic that they kind of got down, like one of the reasons why Ore was a dangerous place to go into was because they have like 3-second knockdown enemies there. Like that, I remember that was when the first time I went to Ore, when I played Guild Wars 2, when I first started way early, you know, I played the beta and I, you know, all that stuff. But when I first came out and I leveled up and I went to Ore and I had no idea about builds and I had no idea about gear, and I was wearing, I was wearing blues and greens. I was on an elementalist. I had no idea what was anything. I died all the time. You know what I died to the most? I remember was those stupid hammer wielding Ryzen that had like 3-second knockdowns, because I remember that I would get knocked down. I didn't know what a stun break was. Like I didn't know any of that, right? Like, so I died to that, right? But that's good because it's a mechanic in the game, like the knockdown. It doesn't have to be 3 seconds, right? But it's kind of nice to, like, you know, that's why those things, they kind of need to be incorporated, right? Like, they need to incorporate like boon rip, right? They did that in Janthia Wilds, right? Like the Titans there, they rip your boons, right? It would be kind of nice to maybe have some mesmer enemies, for example, that are using swords in the CORSAIR, right? That are coming up and they're using their chain, and on their third they literally rip your boons, right? Like, and it's like, oh wait, what happened to my boons? Oh, this guy ripped, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, there's mechanically, like systematically, there's like things that they really need to change in the core game, I think. You got those rare bandits that throw swords at you and play 5 stacks of torment from offhand sword for warrior. Isn't that from offhand dagger on the thief? When torment didn't exist yet. Isn't that from the dancing daggers or whatever that's called? No, that's not what it's called. Whatever that force skill is on the double dagger, isn't that what they're doing? Because aren't they like most of them thieves? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Something like that, right? Like, I think one of the things that would work really well is like poison, for example, because poison lowers the healing that you do, right? And like maybe teaching people about that, right? Like use that as a thing, like have a lot more enemies poison you so that, like, oh my god, my healing doesn't do as much anymore. Why is that? Well, because poison lowers your healing. Like, if you didn't know that, it does do that. I played a beta all the way through the end of season 1 before joining a friend playing WildStar. In the preceding 4 or 5 years, I logged in a couple of times, mainly to give away all my gold and items. 2019 rocks around, I'm bored, and so I decided to use what little gold I have left and buy gems to purchase season 2. It piqued my interest enough to buy Heart of Thorns, and I've been playing ever since. The game is not the same as it was in 2012. Well, it's not the same, like the core game isn't the same as the expansions. So that's right there, tells you right there. It's improved so much over the years, and the storytelling and the characters just had me fall in love with the game all over again. Some lows over the years for sure, but I feel part of something special in Guild Wars 2, made for players by fans of the franchise, passionate about what they do, and it shows. I adore this game. Last time I logged in many years ago, it seemed like you needed a group to make any sort of progress after hitting max level. I'm talking just the open world PvE stuff, not dungeon or raid. Really? When was that ever the thing? That you needed a group to make progress in open world PvE. That has never been since the inception of Guild Wars 2 has ever been a thing. I just felt like I'd hit a brick wall with the game, so I logged out, uninstalled, I haven't missed it. Fun game from 1 to max -1. What? I don't... Fun game from 1 to max -1? I don't know why that's it. From 1 to max. Max level is just a pile of Y, since it's all horizontal progression. Achievements and cosmetic gear isn't a big motivation for me. Not that I could even get those. Oh well, plenty of people seem to love it, and I'm for that. Good interview. Seems like they're finally waking up to a point I made time and time again in the past. You need to take care of your core players. Yes, and at the start, ArenaNet seemed to like ArenaNet seemed like they were just tossing out anything with no direction or thought, like I was just still playing a game in development, to the point that it was a standing joke among us that ArenaNet would sooner make a new thing than fix an old thing. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess I can agree with that on some level, right? Now it's offhand sword from Warrior, one of the most useless conditions. Is where a lot of these comments are bots AI. Yeah, it seems weird, right? It seems they're learning that it's not the best approach, that they need to focus on their core players and making a great game for the people that enjoy their game. Would have been nice to see this result in overall improvement to their existing content, to all their existing content. A few things for anyone getting into the game. If at 80th you cannot do open world content with relative ease, that means your build is bad. Go to like Meta Battle or Guild Gen and get a decent build to work from. This will change your whole experience in the game. As far as leveling goes, honestly, not sure what to tell you on that note. On that one, exploring the maps and doing the personal story should pop you to 80th pretty quickly. I think the lack of direct hand-holding Guild Wars 2 might be an issue, like players wanting that ABC step line. Yeah, I mean, they want it, but I like that Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that. I like that we don't have a... Sometimes I'm really annoyed by when I go into a new game and then you have like a 30-minute tutorial to go through. Man, it drives me crazy sometimes. As far as needing roles were the bane of my most MMO's existence. Need a healer or some such BS was the worst part of the MMO system, and honestly, Guild Wars 2 removing that was a pinnacle of design. But did they really remove it? We still need support, right? Like they changed the Holy Trinity, but they changed it to like other roles. So there's still roles that you have, right? You still have people that need to maintain alacrity. You still have people that need to maintain healing and support, and you still like in those end game content, right? So they got rid of those roles and then they kind of re-added them, right, when raids came around. Anyway, as I said in the interview, those that have chosen that this game is not for them have made their choice, and chances are not going to be the people they will convince to make Guild Wars 2 the MMO for them, and hopefully that sticks in their heads and they realize that cantering to their core players like me is a better choice than trying to get new players or older players back by tossing in BS that their core players don't like. See, but that's the thing. It's like the problem. The thing is, what he talks about here, they did do that for a long time, right? Like for a long time, they did do that. You know, like he talks about all of the things up until now ArenaNet released were all for the newer people. It was never like that. The story always moved on. They haven't gone back to the core story, core story or the core maps, or like any of the core content of the free-to-play 1 to 80 in many years. They haven't looked at that at all. The last time was the leveling, the new player experience that they did, and that was like such a shot in the foot that they did there. That was like awful and people hate it, right? And like, so I don't agree with this person on most of their points here, because I really don't think that that's what they did. Like, and just focusing on your core player base is not good, because Guild Wars 2 again isn't designed like a World of Warcraft, isn't designed like a World of Warcraft game where you have a subscription fee and you keep those people playing all the time. Core players that have all legendary gear, that have done all of the raids, that have done all of that stuff, yeah, they pop in for the new releases every so often. They'll buy, you know, they'll buy the new expansion for $25 and stuff like that. But that won't keep the studio going. Like the studio needs to sell like gems skins and stuff like that. They need people to constantly play all the time. And the only way that you can secure that in a game like Guild Wars 2 that doesn't have vertical progression, that doesn't have the gear treadmill and the subscription fees and all of these things, is by you know, like getting new people into the game, right? By like looking at those core players and like not the core players, but the newer players, and looking at getting those in. So I disagree with that completely, because if they completely, like, I think for so long the starter maps, I remember going into the starter maps and they were empty. I think right up until the Steam release, it was like the core maps were like fairly empty. Like there wasn't much going on, because the sentiment, even from the community back then, was like people would come into the game because their friends were playing it or that it was recommended to them or whatever, right? And they jump in, and immediately the player base back then was always like, yeah, just, you know, I can help you on all this stuff. You don't need to know anything. Just this level to level 80, you know, use your boost or whatever, and just like get your mounts and go into the Path of Fire maps, go into the Heart of Thorns maps, go into those maps, get your glider, get your raptor, get your whatever, right? And like just get your build ready so you can join us in raids, right? Like that was the sentiment for a long time. That was my argument for a long time. The opinion has kind of changed now after the Steam release, where, you know, there's so many new people coming in that don't have that pressure from the community. They're just coming in and they're just like, hey, it's a free-to-play game on Steam, I'm gonna try it out, right? And then they kind of get hooked on that, right? And that's a great thing. I love that they go in and they play the game blind. And I think much of the community has now leaned towards that, where they go in and say, no, don't rush anything, just play the game. Just go in, experiment, play the game. You know, if you have any questions, we can answer it, whatever, blah, 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 you know? I think ArenaNet should find a way to make each opening tutorial story instance for each race as part of open world somehow, instead of it being an instance. That way you can decide as a player to follow it or do it just, or ignore it wherever you... yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I mean, it's such a short instance, though. Like, I would like to see it. I would like to see it expanded on, actually. I would like to see the tutorial, the level 1 tutorial, to be expanded on. I would actually like to see them maybe adding like a couple of mechanics to the bosses, like where you actually have to dodge, or where like the NPCs tell you to dodge, or you have like something, you know, like kind of give you, because that's the only tutorial that you actually kind of get, right? Is like that level 1 5-minute intro. Like it's only 5 minutes. Like I don't think they should put that in open world at all. I don't think so. Maybe give us an option of skipping it when we create a character. I could agree with that. Like if I'm making my 200th character, that, you know, once I click on like create character, like at the bottom is like, oh, you have made many characters before. Would you like to skip the tutorial? And I can just say yes, and it brings me at level 2 right into like Wayfarer Foothills, right? Like that would be kind of nice. The dodge mechanic should be a part of the bosses. I think so too. I think dodging is something that they really need to hammer down. I mean, they did add the like dodging thing in the starting maps or whatever, but I really think there needs to be something where like right in the beginning of the game, they're like dodging. Like dodging is like your #1 defensive ability in this game, right? Like dodging is like the #1 thing that you'll do. Like healing, which is automatically like you see that you have that available right from the get-go. That's your only other ability. You have 1 attack ability and 1 healing ability. Boom, right? That's already like drilled right into your head that that's your healing spot, right? But the dodging, I think right in the beginning needs to be hammered into people's heads. Like, yeah, you can dodge. It's like active combat. Like it's not stand around tap target like World of Warcraft bullshit, right? Instead of being a stupid random chest in open world. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Someone please tattoo this on every developer's head. No, don't do that. Dumbest thing. Why? It's one of the dumbest things they could do. Yeah, there we go. Catering solely to the core fans is a horrible way to run an MMO. Thank you. Through time and attention, your core fans will dwindle away, and since time and I read that as I can't read. Through time and attrition, your core fans will dwindle away, and since you never tried to bring in new fans or bring back lapsed fans, you will be left with nothing. And that's one of the reasons why many MMOs fail, I think, right? And as the player base dwindles, it will become more and more and more, more and more and more. I added another more. I need to stop reading. Insular and cannibalistic, which will increase the pace of the decline. The Guild Wars 2 player base is already dwindling, and you want to kill it faster. It's not dwindling. It's growing. It's growing. With the release of Steam and the release of the Epic Game Store stuff, the player base is growing. The problem is, I think the core experience isn't representative of what Endgame is like, and it doesn't retain those new people. The people go in, they have the free-to-play experience, they think, it's a good game, you know. They don't understand that expansion maps are way better. I think a lot of people have that experience. They go in, they don't realize that the expansion maps are way better, and you know, having like those mounts and having the glider and having all of these masteries that do cool things, and like, you know, the cool new skins and the story with new characters, and like, you know, like all of these things that are happening, right, like in the expansion maps, right, like that is what the Guild Wars 2 of today is like, right? They just go in, they try out the game, and they're just like, to get to level 80, and they're like, yeah, I mean, I liked it, but like that, you know, that Zaitan fight was like really fucking dumb. Like, I don't think I'm gonna buy the game. I think I'm good, you know. Like, I think a lot of people have that experience. I think it's the non-vocal, it's the non-vocal majority, right? The people that just jump into like Steam and they see, oh, Guild Wars 2 free-to-play game, like, yeah, I've been wanting to get into an MMO, and they try that out, and they're just like, okay, like, it's not bad, right? Like, CORSAIR isn't bad by any means, but it's not representative of what Guild Wars 2 is today. Hell, they should teach people about the down state during the tutorial boss as well. Have it do a skill that forces you to down. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The problem is that down skills don't unlock until level 5. So they would have to kind of revamp that, right? Like, I think level 5 is when you get like down skills. Before that, you just die. I'm pretty sure you just like die. You don't go into down states. And it tells you how to kill a random mob of the boss to get back up. Yeah, I mean, that would be nice, right? Like, to give more understanding. I mean, I really think there should be like a tutorial section in every starting map. Like, kind of how we have in the monastery, like all these little arenas, how we have in Harvest Den, right, where we have like the little arena there with all the things, right? Like, we need to have that in every starting map. In every starting map, we need to have a little area where they explain mechanics, where dodging gets explained, where, you know, and make it a heart where you have to go in and you have to do this. You have to go in, kind of like how they did, you know, like Claypool has that little area. It's a heart where you have to go in and you have 3 different activities that you can do or whatever, right? Like, do the same thing that they did in the monastery, where you have a heart that's based off of doing that, right? Put those in the core maps. Teach people about breaking bars, teach people about dodging, teach people about downstate, teach people about using like stun break, teach people about all these different things. Zaitan fight is a few hours into the game as well, and if you treat it like a single player game, I could see that as a quitting point indeed. I mean, I really think so. Like, you know, if you go, you know, if you play through this whole story and you're just like, I want to play this game and I'm just focusing on the story, and you play through the whole story and you don't talk to anyone about it or whatever, you're just having like solo experience, which I've done for many years. I did this before I streamed, you guys. I was never really part, like in Guild Wars 1 I was part of a guild for a long time, but for most of my time, like because I came from console gaming, so I approached many of my PC games, even MMOs, as that, where I go in and I just play the game solo, and I go through the story and I just do the story and whatever, right? And I play through it and blah blah blah. And I would, you know, and so if I were to do that, you know, many people do that probably with Guild Wars 2, and they go through it. and it all, you know, and they have this like, you know, it's not a bad story. Like the personal story isn't bad. Obviously it has many flaws and there's a lot of like weird things that are in there, and I get it, right? Like I get the criticism of it, but overall for an MMO, it's not a bad story, right? Like you go through, you experience a lot of cool things, you meet a lot of cool characters, whatever, right? You go through it and it all culminates in the fight against Zaitan in Ara, right? And I think I would be one of those people that would be like, really? That was the final boss? And now they want me to go into the expansion? Like, it's very underwhelming. It's so anticlimactic that I think it would turn me off. Understanding your target demographic and building on that is a proven strategy. I think that is the point. Not stagnation, but innovation that plays to the base. That plays to the base. All right. The Guild Wars 2 player base is down, as you've noted, but the game has been around for a long time. All games die off eventually. You'll need to make your point another way. Yeah, well, no, but that's not, I don't agree with that, but I don't agree with that. Like, the point is, you know, I think that is the point, not stagnation, but innovation. The thing is they can do both, right? Like, we can have, like, we have more than enough systems. I think what ArenaNet is doing right now is, I think ArenaNet is really doing a good thing right now. They're doing smaller expansions so that hopefully in the background they can focus on maybe revitalizing some of the older systems. They talked about it. They talked about how they want to step away from innovation because they have tried to over innovate on way too many things, and that it's now time for them to kind of like look at these older systems and maybe re-innovate those older systems, and maybe look at those and see what they can do with all the systems they already have in place, rather than adding new ones every expansion and do new things all the time. And I think that's good, right? On top of adding new maps and new content, right? New content that utilizes those same systems. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think it is. I think it's a great strategy. Anyways, I'm done reading this stupid thing. What is it? Stop playing the minute. I'm nervous, and CSoft executive confirmed Guild Wars 2. Otherwise, I would still be playing. Why? Hold on. My guess would be because everything they collect in game has an official, even if expiry date. But that's not true. We don't even know that. That hasn't even been confirmed. Oh my god. Sometimes I hate the internet. Close it all. Close it all down. So, alright, it's late enough. I've streamed long enough. I've talked long enough. That's one feature WoW added that I enjoy, being able to start a new character and choose expansion to level your character with. Well, yes, I do like that too. I think, like I said, I think ArenaNet needs to find a way. ArenaNet needs to find a way to cater to their newer players, right? They talked about how they want to do platform expansion, which means that they're looking to bring in new people into the game in a different way rather than marketing, which is fine. I get it, okay? But then you need to find a way to really entice those players to keep going with the game and have them stick around for a long time, right? Like, that's how you need to find a way to get those people, because gamers are some of those people. It's like, if you can't get their attention within the first few hours, and we've seen this, right? There was a comment by a guy left who's like, I know, like, I got to level 20 and I just like left, right? Like, if you like, there's many players like that if you don't grip their attention within the first few hours and really get them like settled in and like, you know, show them that Guild Wars 2 is a solid ass fucking game, they're gonna leave, right? So you gotta find a way to really stick that core experience. But yeah, anyways, that's gonna be it. So we did a little bit of gameplay, just hanging out with my new character. I'm probably gonna level up at some point in time and hang out with her a little bit. Try out some Virtuoso gameplay a little bit, probably. Yeah, so you guys might see me throughout the week, not streaming wise, but I might release some videos. If they're doing some blog posts, if they're doing some interesting blog posts, like, I'm looking forward to the quality of life blog post that they promised us, which is probably going to come out tomorrow or the day after. I might make a video on it, and you guys will see that pop up. Like I said, there is a theory video that I'm really trying to get ready before the next release comes out. For the next release, I will be live. I will be streaming it. You guys can hang out with me. You guys can get your Twitch drops, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll be live. I'll give you guys my impressions. I'll give you guys my whole opinion on GNT Wilds. And we'll do all that. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time. The people who get to level 20 and quit are the types that don't care for the story. I'll never understand people like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, they might, you know, maybe it just didn't grip them enough. You know, maybe it didn't have what they were looking for. You know, there's like lots of reasons I feel like that maybe they quit, right? Like we didn't really get like a background. He couldn't really give us an idea as to like why, you know. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. You know, some people just don't care about the story maybe, and maybe it wasn't really what he was looking for. You know, maybe he was looking for something different. But anyways, I had a good time. I got a good laugh in, so that was nice. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mish King. And who was the other person that was here earlier? I'm so sorry. I don't remember. It was a couple of initials, I think, like SD or something like that. Was that who that was here earlier? I appreciate you guys nonetheless, even if I don't remember your names. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I will probably be back sometime